Hello, welcome to Plat Valorant episode 107. We had Bren do his moderate crazy intro this time because last time you nearly burst something.
Go on, go on.
Well, I mean, this the intro. Hello, it's much more reserved when I do it compared to you. I know. Don't give me the grunt of disgust. Bala, Connor, how you doing? Not good.
I just fucking I had the premiere up because we were so late, or the live thing to talk to people in the chat, and it just started going. Right when you asked me, "How are you doing?" Doing fine.
There you go. That's your punishment for talking to the common folk. I have the common folk up on my laptop as well. Kurt's cackling and me calling them the common folk. We're all common folk here. We're all common.
Yeah, we're all
common as
we're all
muck.
relatable, right?
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. We're super relatable too.
You know, I had such a funny interaction with my groundskeeper the other day. On my second property, the guy just couldn't get my grass green enough.
That's crazy.
So I just fucking freaked out. I pulled out the kitchenware, and I just started chasing him around the garden. You just can't hire good talent these days.
You just can't get the staff. Yeah, you should have heard what happened in my fourth home recently.
No.
Yeah, third bathroom exploded.
No.
Yeah, water everywhere. It's crazy. These hurricanes,
and you
huh?
repair it, of course, because you're renting it out, so you didn't repair it.
No, of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. No, that's for the that's not for the landlord.
As a landowning gentry, that would be an undue burden.
Let's talk about Valorant stuff, shall we? I peepo talked my fucking brains out yesterday. I had a 6-hour stream just peepo talking away. I saw Barlow was streaming this morning, ranking all of the free agents in Valorant on a basis, giving them a number 1 to 10 on the game sense mechanics, etc., etc. I tune in and he's like, Brock. Okay, this is unfair.
The analysis emote has popped off on Twitch. The analysis emote has popped off.
You can see me on that's from his recent VOD. And in the chat, in the box, I said 4 hours 35 minutes. That was 4 hours 35 minutes in.
Yeah,
to you talking into the camera.
There's a lot to talk about.
The solo shot.
There's a lot to talk about. We'll try and make this episode less than 4 hours and 35 minutes, though. Kurt found a really cool article. That's where I want to begin. Okay. There's a really cool article about the origins of Phoenix. Did you know they've been working on Phoenix since 2017?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it. But
you say
there's a lot to talk about.
Like this article was like hidden in the depths of the ocean, like in a casket, and we've had to haul it up.
Well, I mean,
and it's like a lost find.
It is the off season.
It's just a
yeah,
cool
I mean,
piece.
this is like actually for the lore masters, but it's not even for the lore masters. It's literally for the game dev lore masters. Yeah. It's not. It's like it's for the people that want to know the insight of game dev lore. They're scrolling on the runic tablets. Be like, oh, you know, Phoenix had a sprint,
had a dash.
God.
Charge dash.
That would have been so good if we could just have another legs in the game. Just the guy's primary ability was to run a bit quicker. I suppose that's what Neon really is. But yeah, his ult used to revive him.
Are you still sick?
Huh?
Are you still sick?
A little bit.
Am I gonna...
Well, how long have you been sick?
Why are you here?
I'm not sick. I'm just a little sniffly.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm just a little sniffly.
So when I have a cold in a couple of days' time.
You won't have a cold in a couple of days' time.
You're not, but you're. How do you know you're not contagious?
Yeah, continue.
Listen, I've tested. It's nothing too bad. It's nothing too bad.
It's nothing too bad.
It's nothing too bad.
It's just a cold, man. It's a cold. What do you want from me?
It's like fucking smallpox. Now that monkeypox is back, no one's vaccinated for it anymore. You've just like brought it into the house.
That's why Connor and Bala are in isolation. We were going to fly them in for this episode. It's a big episode. We've got important things to talk about.
Yeah, but as soon as you said that we might need an iron lung afterwards, I was like, maybe not. Maybe not for me.
All right. Okay. Cool article if you want to go and check it out.
What did you want to bring up with this article?
I just thought it was interesting.
It is cool, yeah. It's cool to see the philosophy of how they, or maybe not how they design heroes or champions, whatever you want to call them. Agents. I fucking got no third time.
Wow, we're in the
going
dirt
good.
today.
I just thought it was
this
kind
is
of
going
cool
well.
because they mentioned a few things regarding like the overarching like world of Valorant was changed because of people like Phoenix. Phoenix was going to be like an astronaut.
Yeah. Can you show me there's a picture from like
Why wasn't he an astronaut? Was it space debris?
No, they
yeah.
decided to move away from a futuristic tech setting for Valorant and instead be like a much more diverse, normal cast rather than purely astronauts. Everyone was going to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
it was like Among Us 2.
Yeah.
The first person shooter. There's a cool image of like the wall though. I kind of like this graphic style. It reminds me of like their League of Legends art in the article, Kurt. Yeah, this. Can you imagine if all the graphics look like this? It's like cartoony kind of style.
It's kind of like Wind Waker Zelda-y.
Yeah,
that's what I
I
was
really
thinking,
like
too.
this.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'm kinda fucking with
the
it.
smoke graphics in the game are extremely clunky looking, really, when you think about it. Like the wall and the Viper wall and stuff like that. In order to make them not have these like wispy edges where you can, sometimes the particle effects mess up the game, they've made everything look very, I don't know, blocky.
Uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's good
not
for
as pretty as something like that does.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. All right.
What
No,
were you-
it's all right. Fuck it. Let's move on.
Dude, no,
Good article. Woo!
I was about
Great
to
article.
burp in your face, and
I know.
like, held it up.
I know you were. I could see it coming.
No, continue.
There's some off-season tournaments happening. There's been some off-season tournaments that have been announced. Fnatic and Ascend are going to Egypt to beat up the MENA teams, so that's going to be fun. I'm sure everyone will tune into that and see two organizations that we don't know. I mean, maybe that's the fun part of it, is that they'll be playing with their new rosters, right?
Maybe. When is it?
Or half a new
Or-
roster.
I mean, they have to have their roster locked by then, right? Because of the date. So
Yeah. The
yeah.
primary roster has to be
Wow.
locked by
15th
October
of
15th,
October,
and this
yeah.
is on the 22nd. So
yeah. So yeah, this would be their roster.
But that doesn't mean they have to play with those guys. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but they don't have to play with them. This is
Well,
not.
I guess that's what are the rules involved. I guess for an org competing in an outside non-VCT tournament in the off season. Like, can you just
orgs
go
are-
with a random group?
YOLO.
Yeah, I guess it's
Do
whatever
you like.
whatever the TO is set. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess so. Well,
yeah,
they still have to
maybe-
comply with Riot global initiatives, right, for the tournaments, do they not?
Well, I think with the
So-
third-party tournament section, like it's relatively open. It's not like you can't play in any tournaments outside of VCT. I don't think that's a thing that we've heard of yet, but
Mm.
I assume it's open.
Yeah, so that one's called the Superdome, which I think is a pretty incredible name. Just a tournament happening in Egypt with Ascend, Fnatic, and then a few other teams, of which I haven't really heard of many of them.
It can
and
have like 10K people in the stadium or something like that.
10,000 people in the stadium.
I didn't say that that's what they were going for, but that stadium is fucking huge. Yeah.
Capacity is pretty big.
30,000 capacity. That's either going to be one of the most. Yeah, I mean that is a bloody Superdome, isn't it? That's a hyperdome, a hyperbowl.
Hyperbole.
I mean, the fans are pretty passionate in that region for their teams. So I mean, I mean, I doubt they'd get 30,000 people in there, but it would be fucking banging if they did. It would be really fucking cool.
you never know. I wouldn't have said that they would have been able to get 10K in for the Japan qualification in stage 2.
Yeah, it was more than 10K,
But it was like they packed a stadium.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought that.
but
there was
Japan's viewership
enough-
is much larger than Middle East and North Africa.
Yeah. I guess, there's no real clear way to tell in terms of the interest. This is going to sound so stupid. But like online viewership doesn't always equate to the amount of people that are willing to travel out and visit an event in person. So there's always no guarantee. But
I do know that those guys who are running the tournament, they ran like a gaming convention before in Fortnite that a couple of my friends went to and were paid to go to. That popped off, but that was Fortnite, and Fortnite was huge everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
How Valorant's doing in Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, no idea. Honestly, no idea. But it'd be really cool if people did turn out, because it'd open my eyes to a whole different region that, frankly, I've just been ignoring up until this point, I think. There was another tournament as well, right? What was this one called? The Glute. The Glute Clash. It's Glute. Yeah, it's called Glute.
The glute.
It's called the Glute. The Glute Valorant
G-Lute.
Clash.
Oh.
G-Loot? Is that how you pronounce it?
G-Loot. Yes,
there's a dash,
There's a dash, man. There's a dash. I can't
People
believe
took
it.
issue with this tournament, though, I saw because of the
Yes.
qualification process. Even though it seems pretty standard for a lot of tournaments, right? Because they're inviting teams, they're inviting VCT teams. But I think they're having 4 slots that you have to. I have no idea how this works.
There's 3 qualification methods. I don't know if this article will show it, but there's invited teams, there's open qualifier, and then there's people being invited based off of ranked stats.
Huh?
Which I don't fucking. It doesn't really like tell us what that means, but it says your ranked stats out that the G-Loot app is drawing from. So I assume you put your name in the hat, and if your ranked stats are good enough, like make a team. But I have no fucking clue how it works.
But that's not a team. That's a player.
So stupid.
Yeah, I don't really understand how it works.
Yeah, I don't. Is this partnered with like their in-game tournament system at all, or is this just their third-party app pulling
No,
API
this is a third. Yes,
for players?
It's just pull it.
This is a
There's
third-
no. You can't run outside ranked systems like ESEA, IB. You can't. You can't.
I guess you
run
could
that.
tell people to join a custom lobby.
But I don't think officially you can do it on the TOS.
Oh, right.
I mean, there's stuff that stops companies from doing that. So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, either way, this is a Riot endorsed tournament.
Yeah, yeah.
but-
yeah.
they could run
yeah,
some
no,
kind
you
of
can't do
qualifier.
that.
Do you know what this means?
How many teams are going to qualify through their stats being good? It doesn't say.
Nope, I didn't. I looked it up. I tried to find it. I have no clue.
All right, guys, this is what we do. We get 5 of us together. We smurf the shit out of some ranked with the G-Loot app attached. And we inflate our stats. And where is this being hosted?
Yeah,
Well,
create an
surely
account, we're
there's
good.
a rank requirement
EU.
too.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
EU.
and on top of it, it's EU.
We're playing
yeah.
EU. It's during the off season.
Yeah, but surely there's still a rank. Like there has to. Well, I guess that's still like. I guess if you're trying to Smurf though and inflate your stats, like I guess it won't work once you start.
Yeah,
hitting,
they're not gonna invite the
Immortal.
best players from Silver 3.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
How does
sense.
this work?
Well, none of us know how it works.
Exactly.
It doesn't seem to be a functioning system, but they're running with it, I guess.
I think we could game it.
Yeah, maybe. Should we try?
I think
Good
it'd be
idea.
quite fun to do.
We've already announced our intentions, so if it were to happen, like they would immediately find out as soon as they got our names, so they would know.
Delete the VOD.
that
Kurt,
this is
delete the VOD.
point.
Go, we've got big money coming up. Delete the VOD. How much is the Glute Clash for?
50K.
50K.
50K? How much is
Yeah.
the Superdome for?
Don't know.
Did they announce a price
I want
pool?
to say 50K, but
I didn't see.
is it actually?
I looked for. I didn't see.
Because, listen, I don't mean to sound entitled, but 50K is actually kind of small in the modern era for, like, off-season events.
It's pretty good.
No, it seems pretty small for events that you're trying to attract. Like, if the off-season's supposed to be serious events with big teams participating,
Yeah.
it's quite small, really, isn't it? Like, for the current stage of Valorant.
with
It's not
with
tiny,
inflation, the state of economy.
but yeah.
Well, I would also
that 50K is the equivalent of like 1K like a year ago.
Yeah. Dude, inflation's through the roof right now. Dude, that'll get you what, from
Through the
Dallas to
Superdome,
Houston
in
with the
fact.
gas prices currently?
It's small, but also I would hope that this is not the fucking serious competitions that you're hoping to run in the
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, is this gonna be because they said this is like their third, like during the off season, there's a bunch of actual third party events. Is G-Loot and the Superdome going to be their premier?
I hope.
Superdome's legit. I think Superdome's legit.
I
Like
mean,
during
I'm
an
sure-
event
I
to
mean,
Egypt,
sure,
whatever. But
Still.
G-Loot, come on, man. You can't invite people from ranked to have a serious tournament. That's some Fortnite promotional bullshit. Friday Fortnite pub stomping. Like that's what's
But
happening.
the ranked teams will just get stomped anyway by the invited teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why is
Yeah,
it a
but what's the
tournament?
point? Yeah, but
Yeah,
what's
I'd
the
rather
point,
have
right?
normal teams. I'd rather
Has
have proper teams.
that one this weekend been announced?
Yeah,
Well, then that
but not who's working it.
no, you made that real fucking chill.
Wait, what? I mean, I know, but
So can I talk? Can we talk about it? Or?
I
There's
don't think
the
it's been
G4
announced.
tournament got announced recently for content creators.
Yeah, well, but my point there is as well that we were having a discussion about like the off season was, at least we hoped it would be, some kind of like serious competition for the teams involved. But these tournaments that have all been announced for the off season are either minor or the content creator tournament or like a two major teams getting invited and the others
There's also
around.
Blast Nations, which is like a World Cup type of format with Blast.
Yeah, which I don't want to judge it. I feel like we should judge the offseason at the end of the year. When the offseason finishes, we'll have the hindsight to be able to look back and say, was that successful?
There's a
Did that
good amount
provide
of time
value?
where you can.
Nope.
The best time to run tournaments would be, I mean, maybe not December. That's when most people are taking breaks, but you might see some tournaments during December and also probably January.
I mean, the best time to run tournaments is right after October 15th, when
Yes.
everybody has their rosters and people are hyped to see them, and you know that every team in terms of
I think there's
franchising
gonna be-
has 6.
I think there's going to be some teams that they have like the skeleton crew assembled by October 15th.
Yeah.
Where they have the minimum requirements, and the building process is still going to go on all the way up until
of
February.
course, yeah, but I think at that point it's fair to throw them in and be like,
Sure.
this is the first
Yeah.
looks at the roster. Like that would be a really hype tournament. But coming up
It's
soon, but
reasonable
nothing's
for
been
you.
announced.
You asked us to, not judge the offseason until the offseason is over. But no, this is a really bad sign. I don't want to do that. This is really, really bad.
Mm.
There's only one tournament announced in NA, and it's a content creator tournament.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, it has only been 2 weeks since champs.
But
Not
that doesn't
even,
matter.
right?
They should have been announced before champs. We should have had these 3 weeks from now is when that gets locked up. The rosters start getting locked up.
I mean, I feel like I don't know how their global ops teams work, but after seeing a lot of orgs work, I'm sure they had literally all hands on deck
Yes.
running champs and figuring
Yes.
that out, and they've had no time to touch anything else.
You also
I
think
bet.
as well, a lot of teams are not even going to be thinking about tournaments right now. If you're assembling a team right now, the entire emphasis and focus is going to be on building the best roster possible. I imagine it is just fucking I don't know, just non-stop chaos.
If
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
a GM, I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm losing my
course.
fucking mind if I'm a GM right now. With the amount of free agents and so many restricted free agents and everyone's coming after the same people and you're going to be fighting to the death. GMs legitimately it's crazy. I think it's a ridiculous crunch. Not in it's necessary for what they have planned, but I know GMs are pulling out their fucking hair right now.
But also, one of the best ways to actually stress test, if you get a skeleton crew together and you're wondering, does this core actually have legs?
Yeah.
You're running scrims and trials. Throwing them into a tournament is actually a really good method.
Yeah,
if it's like a one-day tournament, to go in there, see what the results are, see what the problems are, and maybe make some moves off the back of that as well. Anyway, those are some of the off-season tournaments that have been announced so far. We'll keep looking for them, and Bala says bad signs ahead. So we'll see what occurs. One of the other big pieces of news that's some boring, snoozy stuff, but actually really important, potentially, the Challengers roster rules have been revealed. So we previously had the roster rules for the international leagues being revealed, and now the Challengers roster rules have been revealed as well. I haven't had the time to go through these entirely, but Kurt's going to bring them up on the screen, and we can just take a look through some of these as well. I think the highlights were minimum 16 years old. So it's, you can still compete in Tier 2 before you're eligible to compete in Tier 1. Mm-hmm. So you get that same dynamic that you were talking about last week, Bren, where you actually get really excited to watch the players coming up.
Yeah.
Because it could have been a possibility that they had locked this to 18 as well.
And then it's not the same case. But
yeah. So
yeah, I like this.
That's kind of cool.
3 players on a starting roster must be residents of the region as well, which is different to the Tier 1. In current system, whether they're going forward, there's 4 players, and you're only allowed 1 player to be import talent. In this, it kind of opens up a little bit more, actually. I think with any team that's in the Tier 2 circuit, you have your pick of up-and-coming talent from every region's more so because you have an extra slot.
But also,
on import talent.
That's different compared to how the open circuit system worked, like in 2022, 2021, etc.
I thought it was 3 then.
It was 2 in the VRLs, and it wasn't even starting roster, if I remember.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't think it worked like that because, for example, you had... didn't you have teams with more than 2 Korean players playing in the Japanese leagues? Didn't we have teams with 3 Korean players?
Oh, really?
I can't remember.
There
Okay,
has been a
maybe
couple,
I'm wrong there
yeah.
then. But I seem to remember it being 2 out of 5 instead of 3 out of 5. But I could be wrong. Not sure. Might be just chatting out of my arse there then. Maximum roster size of 7 instead of 10. So, well, that's really going to affect a lot of Tier 2 teams, I think. That's a serious problem. No minimum salary requirements either, which makes sense. I think it would be somewhat absurd to have an entire Tier 2 circuit where there was minimum salary requirements.
I'm all for strengthening contracts for the players as well, and just for the players themselves, so they get good deals, they don't get screwed over. But in tier 2 as well, that would probably be where the line is drawn, because just the amount of talent that's going to be playing in it, it would be impossible to set a minimum wage across the board.
It's probably going to be a bunch of just free agent teams as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't have orgs, so.
Yeah, there's no money, because even there's not enough money to sustain a lot of big scenes in tier 2. So setting the minimum salary requirement is kind of inane, it's just not possible for orgs, especially smaller orgs, to meet that requirement when we potentially have lost some larger orgs due to the partnership, decisions.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to maintain that overall. I'm also interested to see, I think when they've changed the import rules here, that's kind of interesting to me, because it feels like their goal is to cultivate these regional VCT leagues again, sort of like they've done with League, but you're allowed to have more import wise for your challengers squad in your challengers league. So it's interesting to see what that ecosystem is going to be like if you're just importing a bunch of players, or more players specifically, than you can actually have in your VCT teams for that region.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things just from the rules that we've read that already there's big questions around how it works when it comes to Ascension. Because if you have a roster, let's say you had a roster that was all 16-year-olds and they win Ascension, none of those players can play. They win the org, the spot in tier 1, but none of them can play. So, when you look at teams that are playing in tier 2, if they have 2 imports, they'd have to drop one of them. And if they have multiple or even one player under the age of 18, they'd have to at least have them on the reserve roster.
But the import rule, when I was reading through the legal jargon, it was talking about how if they played over 50% of their games in the region that they're going into in the previous season, they count as a resident.
No, only if they also have the legal requirement to be a resident. So they must also have citizenship or permanent residency. And they must play 50%. No, permanent residency. It's not just
I think they're just using the term resident.
That's true, Brian. No, 100%.
Are they not just using the term resident in their own legal document?
Permanent resident.
Dude, I'm looking this up right now.
It says permanent.
I'm a fucking lawyer.
People talking about it.
I'm a lawyer. I'll get to the bottom of this.
It says you must be a citizen, a permanent resident, or have refugee asylum status. And those are the 3 things. Plus, if you're an import, you must have those. It's for dual citizenship. You must have those, and then you must play at least 50% of the.
What about people who are on player visas? What if you import talent and they're not a resident?
Then they're an import. They're not a resident.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Hold on, let me find this.
So I think there's a lot of questions as to how Ascension works, and when we saw Ascension being released as well, there were just tons of details missing of are the players actually protected when they move up? Well, you can't protect the players under this system entirely because they would naturally drop out due to age limitations, import limitations, and stuff like that anyway. So
you think that, but then there's also exceptions this year to grandfather people. So potentially, if you ascend as a whatever, they'll make exceptions.
Maybe.
Potentially.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Maybe.
True,
yeah. I think that would be potentially a cool exception. That if you win in that region for Ascension, then you're counted as a resident. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in the rules, but I haven't read through it yet.
By default, you'll end up being 17 the next year as well. So you'll end up kind of meeting the grandfather rule that they set in this year.
Yeah.
I'm also interested to see in relation not just to roster rules, but with their Ascension system and challengers teams, there's already some sponsors that are considered you can't have a competing sponsor in that category. You can't have for certain things because of the broadcast or in relation to what you can put up on broadcast. I'm wondering if there's going to be any sort of rules related to the orgs in participating in VCT, and if they are a challengers team that get through Ascension in terms of what sponsors you can or can't have, right?
Yeah.
That's a very big deal for organizations from a financial standpoint, and it changes the dynamic a lot when it's versus an open circuit system versus your goal is to make it through Ascension into a 2-year partnership type of deal. So it's kind of up in the air what that means for teams too.
Yeah, definitely. Also, the original roster rules were out for, I don't know, days, nearly a week before people started digging into them in detail. There was most people were looking at the bullet point articles and or the bullet points, and then I think Esports did an article where they dug into all of the fine print. I looked through it as well and did a stream about it yesterday. But there's like some wild shit in those original ones. So I'm sure there's some interesting stuff in this too that just needs time to pour over. Like in the original one, you're prohibited from putting a clause in that allows you severance pay upon being terminated, and you can be terminated without cause, which is fucking absurd. Like, and the fact that wasn't just like the headline as soon as they released the news just shows how buried it was and everything. So,
and also how much people care. When
sure,
stuff
maybe.
like that. Yeah. It's important, but yeah, I don't think you can get people to care about that much.
Yeah. Potentially not. Brent, have you come up with anything?
You can't be considered a lawful permanent resident if you have a visa.
Are you a lawful permanent resident of the US?
I don't fucking know. I think so.
No, you are not. You need a green card to be a permanent resident. Holy moly. The fact that this guy hasn't been apprehended at the border is a miracle.
Dude, I don't know. Is it really? Is that the case?
We just explained it to you. We just told you. You have a work visa, not a residency visa. You're not a permanent resident.
You are currently a resident alien because you've stayed in the country long enough, but you don't have permanent residency status. You must leave at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't just stay here indefinitely unless they keep renewing your work visa for you to be here to work.
Right.
Otherwise,
Gotcha.
you have to have a reason. Otherwise, like if you don't have a reason, they'll just boot you out. Thus, you cannot be a permanent resident.
Are you still looking at? I got you. Are you in the document section 2.2?
Yeah, I'm in the document now.
Read that section.
It does.
Cool.
There's nothing there that says anything about visas.
No,
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're saying.
But what I'm trying to find is whatever. But I think this, to your point that you guys were talking about while I was looking.
Yeah.
There probably needs to be a once or twice over of the document, and stuff needs to be added and included into it. Like protections for the players if they get dropped, the kind of oversight as well from going from challenges to this as well. I mean, it's the first.
How are you gonna get orgs to put player protections for?
I mean, it's Riot and Force. That's the whole. I think the biggest benefit of this partnership system over previous franchise systems is that Riot have a lot of power in this kind of dynamic between them and the team.
But this is challengers, right? Not partner teams.
They can still set the rules.
This is the rules. We have the construction rules, but we don't even know what the fuck challengers is next year. Like we don't. How are people qualifying? Is there an open qualifier? Is it the in-game system? We have no clue any of that other stuff outside of EU, where the VRLs have already been constructed.
Yeah. Also, we don't know what the hell's going on. But I feel like I agree with you, Brent. I think player protections are nice, but I want to see someone try to sell like all these contract stipulations when you don't get any of the benefits of being a partner team.
Oh no, I'm not talking challenges. I'm talking. This is for the tier 1.
Oh, for partnered. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
For the partnership system is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Then.
Let's move on though, because frankly,
I love legal jargon. Can we talk about this more?
We haven't read that.
Have you read section 5.1?
What is? Kurt, what is section 5.1? Find me section 5.1.
Let's move on.
And Brent must find something interesting from it.
Let's get John Law on the phone.
Mustachioed John Law of the law industry.
Is there even a 5.1 in this doc?
There is a 5.1 in that doc, but that's also not even the doc that we were talking about. We were talking about the challenges doc. This man's lost in the sauce.
5.1, global contract database.
Actually, that one is quite interesting. Let's move on. Crashies Fracture Ace is going to be commemorated in the game. It's going to be acknowledged in the game. That's kind of cool. They've done it for CS stuff before. Barla's shaking his head, and I feel like I can understand where this might be coming from. Barla, do you think this was the most important moment in Valorant history and worthy of the first commemoration?
If I speak, I'm in trouble.
Okay. So why are you shaking your head?
Why would you ever commemorate this? This is like one of the team's lowest moments ever, and it's not even spectacular. The dude right-click ADS headshot everybody on a rope. Come on, man.
But it's fun.
It made me chuckle.
It's a fun little moment.
It's fun at the expense of boom.
Yeah, sure, but that's so funny.
What they should do, you know, little interaction things you have on Fracture. Yeah. Instead of just showing like the lore thing that they added, they should just play the clip and then just plug our Twitters because we casted it at the bottom, and then just plug our Twitters at the bottom.
That's a great idea. So what Brand is alluding to is that if you use the interact key on Fracture, or rather the new version of Fracture, I think. Thanks for the Twitter plugs. If you use the interact key, it now says something like, The zip line is only to be used one at a time due to the
Safety
horrendous incident where 5
something.
people died. Or
It's
something.
the thing's out there.
Oh,
I
there
think
it
it's
is.
funny. I do like the lore thing.
It's a very cool, subtle nod to it. I think it's a fun way of adding
it's
it
not
into the game.
overt.
No,
It's not overt and it's not permanent either, which it's okay. Maybe I shouldn't maul about it that
Oh, it's not
hard, but
permanent.
Probably not. It's a safety reminder. I'm assuming it's like a GTA thing where you fucking hear yourself on the radio after the
No,
episode.
it's like
Do you do a mission?
they do Fracture. They do little lore dumps. They do like little things you can interact with. Do you remember there was the one? I think they might have removed it now, but it was like the little the one just outside a dish.
There's so many.
Yeah.
They change all the time. That's why I think it's probably
Right.
not
Yeah.
But-
I wanted to ask a question here though as well. The Crashies Fracture Ace, it's really cool that they're putting commemorations into the game for stuff like this, or acknowledgements into the game. CS has had tons of them for like spectacular moments from the best players, which this isn't really the same. This is just like a little funny moment.
Yeah.
It's not the same at all. But if they were going to do that, if this is the beginning of them actually acknowledging big moments in the game, what other plays from history do you think you would want to see acknowledged?
Chronicle Ace.
Unbind?
Chronicle
Yeah.
Ace. Yeah.
Chronicle Ace
Unbind,
Unbind?
yeah.
I don't even remember
Uh-huh.
what you're talking about.
That's why it needs to be
What?
acknowledged.
You
Maybe
don't remember
that's-
the Chronicle Ace?
God,
Unbind, where he
damn.
like
I'm sure if you show me it, it will. But this is just the ADHD brain
Chronicle
lapse.
Ace
Bandit
Unbind
Crew,
against
round
Crew.
fucking 22 against Bro, it was the fucking sickest thing ever before overtime.
yeah,
21,
you remember
fuck
this.
my
Look,
life.
it's this.
I don't remember this.
What?
I don't remember this.
I don't remember
How do you
that.
not
No, this is from a
remember this?
different life.
This was one of the
No.
sickest plays ever. I mean, in an outrageously close game, this is how Crew died. This was their run at champions.
Why didn't they swing together? Why did they fucking fight him one at a
Oh
time?
my, oh my
You're fucking
god.
trolling.
I don't remember this.
Oh,
I'll give you another one.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go
Are we
ahead.
ready for another one? All right, the King satchel up to heaven against XSET in Leviathan.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm
Fucking
talking
ridiculous.
about. That's what I'm talking about. I also, I think, is Kurt looking up that clip actually while we talk about it? Okay. This play is absolutely iconic, but it's also funny. It's another one where it kind of fits with the Fracture thing, where it's like a funny, absurd moment, like a once ever. Like people will get aces on bind again in a semi-final probably, but I don't ever
with that
see this
context.
happening. And then he dies of fall damage. I
No,
mean, just everything.
I mean,
Everything was amazing about this. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that.
I think context matters a lot. Like the situation that you're in, like this is an elimination game, map 3. You're about to literally lose the game or go to overtime. I think that matters a lot. It's an international tournament. And then also it's an insane display of skill for King to do that play.
mhm.
Like a split second. It's crazy.
I know this is going to make all of the non-EU heads maul, but does anyone remember Masters 1 when Heretics played? When Heretics played against the set?
God.
Does anyone remember
What?
that? Because
What are you talking
Nuki
about?
had a 6K ace. I think he was playing Rainer or some shit on Icebox,
Icebox.
and it was
Oh yeah.
nasty. It was so nasty. I can't hear any furious typing, Curtis.
The problem is with that fucking ace.
It was.
Where would
The
this
problem
be?
with that ace, the problem with that 6K is they fucked it up in the observing. It was back in the days of
Oh.
terrible
Oh.
EMEA production, and they literally were
Oh.
rolling it back in the EVS.
This was
and you could-
before we had global events.
Kirk,
This was
can you
the
pull
finals
this up?
just of EU.
This is a good one, actually.
Okay.
The
Why are you saying it with a smirk?
It was
Okay.
like to decide who was going into top 4 Champs 2022. There was like this.
Yeah.
There was a turret
Round
moment
24,
on a
XSET
set.
FBX.
Oh, the XSET turret. Honestly, I think that would be
I think
funny.
that'd be
That's
funny.
funny enough.
I think
Just
that's
spray a
good.
turret
Yeah, I
on
think
the top
that's
of
actually really
dice.
funny.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, a little turret spray
Yeah.
on top of dice would be amazing.
That'd be so good. But they want
Tarek reacting to it.
Sick.
Nice.
Let's go over this again.
Let's put Tarek's face somewhere in the game.
Yeah. Let's commemorate when Tarek got signed to Sentinels in the game.
That's
Yeah.
a good
Can we
idea.
commemorate
Where would
that?
you put it?
Yeah.
Where would you put it?
I think I'd put it on the home screen. So like you log into the client and it's just Tarek's face behind it.
I'm trying to think of a cool moment that would be actually sick.
I mean, I really think
Mystic
Bala's idea of
Flash.
the King jump is the closest. What, sorry?
Yeah, the King jump's cool.
Mystics Flash.
Mystics Team Flash to lose them the finals 0-3.
Good, yeah. It's memorable.
I mean, it is memorable.
Let's
It
just
is
acknowledge. Let's just bully players for losing in the darkest moments.
Well, I mean, we can. I guess that's not fair actually, because the Killjoy torch is not really quite bullying anyone. That's more so just a funny thing. Aren't we bullying Boom though for the fracture?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. I
Yeah,
mean, I
so
said it
that
during the
shouldn't
cast. They've
Mystic
made
Team
history for all the
Flash
wrong
be
reasons.
in?
Yeah.
So I think Mystic 16 Flash is fair game then.
Oh, this is really the Mystic Team. Why are we showing
Yeah, here it
this?
is.
Look at
Here
this
it
as well. It's
is.
not even like it made a difference in the match. It's that. Oh no!
Oh god!
Oh,
What is this edit?
It's a good edit though.
It's a good edit. They're zooming in on the reactions.
Trophy shot.
What?
Okay.
Well, you know what else would actually go in there? That reminds me of it. Just reminds me of the edit from like 100 Thieves when they still had Hiko, and like the retake where like Ethan's trying to retake sight,
Oh, yeah.
and Hiko is chill. They're like making fun of Hiko just like looking for the flank, but they just think he's
Yeah.
like chilling.
Holy
Oh my
fuck.
god.
The edit that gets attached to that of the guy singing and then the other guy
The other
sweating.
guy just shaking everything. I miss having Hiko in Valorant.
Yeah.
It's a
He's
shame he
still in
retired to
Valorant.
PUBG.
Is that what he's
Yeah.
doing now, huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's playing PUBG professionally.
He got back together with the old 100 Thieves squad, and they're all playing PUBG.
Yeah.
So
Venerated. Dre. I can't remember who else was on that team. All right.
Valiate.
Let's talk Fracture, though. From the Crashies Fracture commemoration, there are going to be Fracture changes coming in as well. As part of a wider PBE change, right? That changes like the initiators into more of a supportive role. But we won't talk about that. I just want to talk about the Fracture changes themselves. There are so many changes to this map. I mean, every part of the map has had some kind of alteration.
I don't think B has.
B has been much more widened towards arcade, and what else changed?
they also changed the approach onto site, so you don't have to like hop up as much when you get onto site. So it's
You can't
smoother
spam
for
that box
entry.
anymore.
And
don't know.
Close
they
to
Go back,
also
go back.
No, it's a metal box now.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
hold
good.
up.
Fuck
Go
that
back.
box.
Yeah, that's a metal box. But
Yeah.
these are huge changes, like really large changes. And people ask me when I was streaming yesterday, oh, what do you think about the Fracture changes? Are they going to be, is it going to make it more attack or defense? I don't have a clue. There's so many
Yeah.
changes, I don't even know what it's going to do.
A lot of. Yeah, there's so much.
Like,
being
Dish is
changed
just
here.
so different.
I mean, they removed a lot. I mean, they pretty much just made it. I feel like they removed a lot of different angles you have to worry about on like a lot
so
of different sites.
wide. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Oh my god! it
Look
is
at this
wide.
arcade. Look at this arcade. It's
giga wide.
humongous.
Why have they widened it so much, though? What is
So the
reasoning?
reasoning, I think the reasoning I heard was that they're, like the classic like phase execs where they would like util dump and just like run through arcade.
Yeah, the
really
bridge,
quickly.
the
They
north
wanna
side crunches.
Yeah, they want to have like a wider arcade so you don't get
so
You
immediately
can't just
weird
send
thing.
one
So it's
fault
not
line
just-
down it
yeah.
and contain it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right, fair enough.
I think the dish changes make a lot of sense as well, though, from the perspective of it was always a pain in the ass to attack from there. Like if you were attacking from dish side, if you wanted to go for a big wholesale dish push, if you're on attack side, right? You're trying to take it. There's two different angles that you need to watch and make sure that you overwhelm. So you kind of need. It's part of the reason why Neon was so popular is because you could use stuns to quickly clear one angle and push it up, and also you've got your fast lane to exec onto the sites from difficult areas, like from drop or from the like B main as well. You saw like the fast lane getting tons of usage like that, but they've made it easier now because the way they've changed that one-sided drop so that you don't have to open yourself up to a 50-50 angle when you're trying to jump out of it.
And not just that, you can't get timinged. Like so many people are
You
just
can't
trying
get
to
timing
timing
now
people
as well.
around the dish.
So I think they've made drop more like attractive to try and exec onto A, but they've also just A in general seems to be like much easier to attack.
Apart
I
from
guess.
sand, I feel like sand is much easier to defend now because you have that rafter to be able to push out of. Unless people are going to sage wall it off, if you put a smoke on top of,
You think so?
if you smoke on top of rope, you can now flash swing out of that without having to drop, and having to drop down removes a lot of time for you to follow up on your flashes. So this seems like you should be able to retake from that area pretty effectively, and also the way that you can if you take control of rope rafters, you can double swing people who are on site in high-low setups, but it
Yeah.
requires you to actually control that rafters area.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
can always get like spammed or whatever from someone playing inside the smoke. So I think that area has become much more interesting, actually, rather than just a straight-up area where a single smoke just means the attackers have control of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, somewhat interesting.
And then there was the one quality of life change on the B site where they added the ramp.
Yeah.
Which means you can
No,
now...
well, they also technically changed the wall on the entry too. They said
Wait.
they like sloped it or something. You see it for like a second on the right. I don't even know. Like that was listed in the changes that they
Is
changed.
this on,
Oh, it
on
does.
B main?
Right on the right there.
What, that wall has changed?
I don't know. I think that's
Based off the note,
I
I'm
can't
reading the
tell.
notes. I'm reading the notes. I'm reading the notes of the person. I'm reading the notes of the person that made this video. And
Isn't there an article
they,
that shows the differences, like side-by-side pictures?
I don't.
But
I didn't see that.
at 47 seconds, it's only on screen for a second. But this wall you'd hug as a retaking defender is now sloped, so you can't get stuck on the extruding wall anymore.
7 seconds.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could get stuck on that wall.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the back of Jenny.
Didn't
So it's
even
not
realize.
just like a block.
Honestly, I don't even know what you guys
No,
talking
no,
about.
no. I think
I'm
it's to
lost.
the left. It's as you run into Jenny.
Yeah, as you run in on the
Go
left,
in,
I should say. It's
And
closer
to the
defender
left.
spawn.
See there?
Yeah.
Right by the
Oh,
window.
that
Yeah,
wall.
Right there.
there you
Yeah,
go.
that wall. Yeah, that wall. That's my.
Wow, that's an enormous change. I'm glad we spent a minute talking about this.
Dude, I'm just reading the notes of the guy. I'm just reading the notes of the guy that did it. I mean, I didn't. I'm just letting you know. There's some other
Off
changes.
season, baby. Let's
Okay,
go.
well, I've got some real off-season content for you here. All right,
No, actually, none of you have rights to complain about off-season content after working in Overwatch.
You're
on the
looking at
Overwatch
fucking
podcast.
me. What are you talking about?
Because you're the only physical prop I have here. Like a physical element that I can look at.
3 out of
but-
4 of us toiled in the fucking unfertile fields
Dude,
for months.
This is we're eating.
Dude, don't
right now.
discount me.
Don't
I
talk
was
to
here
me.
too.
Yeah, Kurt as well.
Brent, don't talk to me about content droughts. I was in Fortnite after the meteor,
Fortnite,
bro.
how dare you compare
And the
Fortnite to
meteor.
Overwatch? How
Competitive.
fucking dare you?
Competitive after the meteor. We didn't have any broadcasts, Josh. We didn't have any tournaments for 6 months. Fucking a game that
care.
lives
6
on
months.
in-game
6 months.
competition.
This guy says. This guy says 6
in-game
months.
competition. The thing is, fucking, we don't even have scrim servers. We can't practice the game. We don't have
this
anything.
The
guy.
Overwatch people don't even have the game. They don't have the game.
Please, bro.
I mean, technically they do have the game. They just have a script. They have a client that only they can play.
Sorry, I'm
fair.
sorry what I've started.
Okay.
We can continue.
We've all had troubled pasts. Okay, let's all agree. We've all had really troubled pasts. We had difficult childhoods, and now
I
we're
did not
here.
do a good job at it.
And we're finally in an area where there's a bit of content happening.
Yep.
All right, I do want to tackle some serious off-season content though, because we're heading into a new era of Valorant right now. We are leaving the open circuit era into the partnerships era. And I think that this is a good time to talk about some of the best teams, some of the favorite teams, some of this kind of stuff, and kind of commemorate some of the people that accomplished great stuff during that era of Valorant. Because I think there's a pretty hard line being drawn right now. Teams are potentially going to be no more. Yeah. Some of the teams didn't make it into franchising, so they're not even going to be able to compete. So if we're talking about the best teams, your favorite teams from the open circuit era, Bala, I want to start with you.
Perfect.
I think we can all agree that Optic were the greatest team. I don't think there was any team that challenged that.
Uh-huh.
Bala, I want to start with you.
Yep.
And I'm
Gambit, next
worried.
question.
Yeah, Gambit. I fucking knew it. Go on,
Dude,
talk
he's
to me
just
about
so
Gambit.
Predictable. He's so predictable.
I mean, they're the best team. They were the best team to watch. Coolest people. Redgar, very nice guy. Nats, cool lurker. Fucking popped off. The best team. I just had so much fun. And Eng, right now, free agent as well. Pick him up. Every single player, really good. And I don't know, what do you want me to talk about? Yeah, everybody knows my favorite team.
So here's a question for you, actually. Gambit were previously the team that Optic had to like overtake in order to become the greatest team of that era.
Yep.
Is Gambit still in that second place? After FPX accomplished a ton this year, after Loud accomplished a ton this year, would you still put Gambit in that second place as like second greatest of the open circuit era?
No, simply because they fell off this year and didn't qualify for any. They were one match away from every single international event, including champions. But they didn't make it there, so you can't include them when FPX has tenure before VCT started. So you just put FPX above them.
You think we'll split the eras, like in our heads when we talk about this in like 2 to 3 years time, if we even do talk about this?
Yeah,
do you think we'd split it,
Yeah,
or do you think
100%.
we'll split it in terms of like 2021, 2022? Is what I'm saying.
I mean, you will, of course, but you can do both at the same time, right? Gambit was the team of the year in 2021, hands down.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the years are different than the actual epoch of like referring to the era, you know?
Yeah. One of the interesting things as well is that no team was dominant throughout all of this period of time. Optic are the greatest, but they weren't dominant. You know, they
Right.
finished top 3, but they weren't winning every tournament.
Yeah.
They weren't able to win multiple tournaments. It's very different from like eras that they've had in Counter-Strike, where teams have won, you know, multiple majors in a row or won 7 out of 8 tournaments that they've played in, stuff like that. So very much a lot of parity going on. FPX played with my heart. they toyed with it like a kitten with a ball of string. I feel like I always was on the wrong side of history with FPX. I believed in them when they were going on the downswings. Didn't believe in them when they were back on the upswings. It's been a tumultuous history, but they've got to be one of the best teams. I hope they stick together moving forwards. They're one of the squads that I'd really like to continue following the story of. At least a core of them sticking together. And we'll talk about we'll talk about the reports later on about that. But I think FPX have got to be remembered as one of the big teams from the open circuit era. Who are the other ones?
Sentinels.
Loud.
I mean, I'm
Go
going to
on,
tell
Brent,
you.
talk to me about Sentinels.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hear the Sentinels. I'm going to tell you
This is
mine
why I
right
was
off the
thinking in my
bat.
head. Are we gonna split it up? Because even in 2021, you couldn't really call Sentinels your favorite. They fell off in 2021.
What do you mean? You could call any team your favorite, Brand. Why
Any team could be your favorite. Yeah, any
validation?
team could be your favorite.
But I'm just thinking, like, one of the most iconic eras of Valorant, of the open circuit era, was the first big event that we had, the first big global international event, and it was just that Reykjavik event where Sentinels were the most dominant.
Still the second ever best viewership that Valorant's had, right?
Yeah.
I think we only just beat it at Champions. Or did we even beat it at
We beat
Champions?
it the first Champions, and we beat it this Champions.
No,
We did.
we didn't
We
beat it
Yeah,
this
we were at
Champions.
we did.
1.5 mil.
Yes, we did. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, we beat
Are
it
you
this
okay?
champs. But anyway, my point.
Gambit Ascend overtook
Yes.
Reykjavik.
By barely like 1,000 people.
Yeah, I
or
remember we
something like
talked
that.
about
But
this too when we were doing the coaching. It was like a very small amount.
We
It
had
was
I didn't
drops.
even realize I had.
But I think
We
if
had
you
drops. It was a best of 5 that went on 5 maps. Like
if you go back in time and you look at like you look at the moment, right? You know the butterfly effect where you crush a butterfly and suddenly like
No, the butterfly
industrial-
effect is not about crushing butterflies.
and then suddenly the industrial revolution doesn't happen and shit. You know what I mean?
No, isn't it called the butterfly effect because if you go and accidentally kill a butterfly, then like they're saying it could drastically alter the timeline. That's what it's called, the butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect is a butterfly flaps its wings and causes a tornado in some other part of the world.
Right.
It's about the butterfly being so small that it barely
But it
makes
has-
any movement. It's like a dumb way of talking about chaos theory. It's not about slaughtering butterflies.
Anyway, it
No,
doesn't fucking
okay,
matter.
I'm gonna go.
The
I'm
point
gonna-
is-
I'm making sure.
The point is, if you in 5 years' time, if we look at the different timelines of
Yeah.
like we continue down this one, and we're like in 5 years' time, and Valorant is like one of the fucking
wow.
most goated esports of all time, right? I think a big part of it was because of that run that Sentinels had at Reykjavik. For a lot of people, like we're just coming out of like the COVID kind of like system, the pandemic, where a lot of people are stuck inside. They're playing video games. Valorant releases at a really important time, and everybody's playing it. Everybody's looking for new games to play, and they jump on Valorant. And this was the first big international tournament that people could get their hands on and actually watch. And it just so happens that one of the most popular teams of all time of that year also ended up winning it in a really dominant fashion. I think this was an incredibly important moment for the game, and to get people invested in Valorant esports was this right here. A lot of people probably look at this as the thing that got them into Valorant esports.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think also it's one of the reasons why the North American viewership is so powerful within Valorant compared to other regions, is because North America won something and has continued to win other stuff as well. If Sentinels were the best team in NA and they immediately just started getting battered by the EU teams who themselves are competing with like CS viewership, I don't think Valorant would be at the place that it is right now. It really relied on North America being good.
Do you think that was like an Ozymandias type of thing from Riot, where they like set it up from the beginning? You know, so North America would be big. It was like the squids.
What just
that they
hamper EMEA? Give them single elim. What best of one tournaments early on? Make sure.
I mean, it's just like what happened at Champs. Obviously, it's all Ozymandias, so Brazil could win and get 3 slots. They poisoned everyone with various food poisoning.
Yeah, and then they teleported giant squids over New York.
Yeah, it's all set up. I'm going to tell you my team because it made me feel again. And also on top of that, because it actually, I think, really sold the magic of what they were doing. It's Crew. It's Crew. It's fucking Crew. Like, Crew proved. You can't be shaking your head like that.
You were going to say Zeta. Oh, I'm so sad.
Well, I mean, Zeta, I think, it's kind of split between the two. It's both. It's hard to pick one because they're both kind of in the same.
No, it's not hard.
No, it's going to be Crew for me because I'll tell you why. Because Crew were the first. They literally did it first. They went to every major event. They were great at the events they went to. Like, they outperformed their expectations every time. And they were the first to prove that the minor regions were like, they were actually really, really good. They had the talent. Like, they set the foundation for what people wanted from Valorant, what Riot had been building for Valorant, for the whole, like, their whole ecosystem career.
Yeah, we'll forget about this year's Reykjavik. But yeah, I agree.
Yes, we'll forget about this year's Reykjavik. But
no one will ever match that record now, right? It's the end of the open circuit era. No team can ever go to all the events. Like, Crew are the only team that went to them all.
Oh my god, this was...
Dude,
the serotonin that I get from this fucking moment is so unbelievable. Good. Even just watching it, I can't hear the audio, but I just know.
It's just us screaming Vamos.
Vamos over and over again. Dude, this was fucking iconic.
This was literally just El Grupo de Amigos Gringos at peak. At peak moments here.
Maybe it's because I wasn't with you guys. I don't feel the same.
You had to be there to understand.
I was on the desk. It was cool. It was the best upset I think I've still seen. Maybe not anymore. I have to think about it. But at that point, it was the best, and it was cool. But I got no joy watching Crew the rest of the time.
It's because you're over here. I think you're just a fun hater, Bala. You're saying we shouldn't put the fracture in because it's too. It's not that cool. It's not that epic. I think you just hate fun.
Here comes the iconic Vamos.
I mean, it's just...
Vamos!
Yeah, that was a really good moment.
Yeah, I think
feel strong, man.
Ascend are a team that just kind of no one seems to even remember. But they are one
what
of
is
those...
there to... I don't know. They just had very little presence outside of cNed, it felt like, right? Even though technically, like, they had great moments in the game. But when you really think about what they put out from, like, an organizational perspective and, like, how it felt like how they also suffered from EMEA syndrome where, like, they just weren't that big in general in terms of content. So,
yeah.
Technically boring. I move on. I sleep.
Wow. I've got another question for Bala as well here. This one's from a super chat from Peter Potante. The end of the open circuit era means, and this is for you, Bala, when are we going to end the Nisao conversation?
What conversation?
That conversation's been over forever.
What are you talking about?
That conversation has been over forever.
I don't know. I think the EMEA people are delusional. I think they've lost it. I think they just lost it.
I mean, technically, Team Heretics is back now, right? Because it's partnered, so like we could revive.
True. Is he still an inactive player on their roster?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, the great era of Nisao. That's how people are going to remember open circuit Valorant. I think perhaps not. All right, let's talk about some ROSTERMANIA then. The big news of this week is Yay potentially going to Cloud9. George Geddes wrote an article saying Cloud9 are going to be building a super team. I don't know exactly what the basis for that was because within the article, it was just talking about Yay joining, but maybe George knows more about other people joining, or maybe George draws the line there in terms of it being a super team because it is the best player being added to people like Leaf, Zeppa, Vanity, etc. What do you think about this move? Do you think, first of all, is this a good move for Yay? Do you feel like this is the best move for him and his, position within the scene?
I should have stayed with Optic.
Just played Ascension.
Yeah, maybe you should have gone to G2 or something. I don't know. But
take the $1 million from APAC.
Yeah,
he got some
$1 million
crazy
from
offers.
APAC.
He got some crazy offers, but ended up, obviously, Ye is the kind of player that's not going to take the craziest offer. He wants to win.
I would assume so.
I think with the current Cloud9 roster, I mean, that's a as it stands, that's a roster where I would say they have a pretty good shot of a top finish. You know what I mean? I would say currently they're still missing a piece with their overall roster. Because Curry's not on anymore, I think, right? He's a free agent.
Curry is not.
Yeah.
Neither is
So
Mitch,
it's just.
so-
I mean,
I also missed the news that Mitch is inactive. I mean, VLR Lissom is inactive, but I feel like I missed something there. Does anyone else remember that announcement? I thought Mitch was still
I know
on
he's
the
a restricted free agent. I don't
I'm
remember
pretty
when
sure,
he did, but I think it was
could've sworn
recent.
he said something.
Oh,
I
right.
remember. Yeah, here it is. With Cloud9 deciding to explore their options, I am now a restricted free agent. Cloud9 has been amazing to help you grow. This is on September 22nd.
I missed that.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
only reason
I
I
think,
remember I saw that because he follows me. Let's go. So I.
But when I'm thinking about when you're looking at that team as well, I think you've got some incredibly good pieces. You've got Vanity, who's IGLing. I think he's always been a pretty good IGL across the board. IGL is going to be a hot commodity going into next year. Leaf is a fantastic player and pretty flexible, which people often don't really think about. But the guy plays a variety of roles. I think he's going to be probably fitting in, if I had to imagine, into kind of what Asuna was doing towards the tail end of 2022.
Sure.
Asuna was playing like being quite flexible and playing a variety of stuff. Zeppa had it kind of fell off, I think, as well in 2022. But I've always attributed that to his initiator partner Zeta going away. Because I think it really did mess with the dynamic of that team quite a bit, and we saw almost like a downtick in his overall performance. If you look at his recent numbers, they're going to be skewed.
He's been playing.
He played in the Toronto LAN. He played in the Toronto LAN. But from what I remember, right, he played a lot of Fade.
His Toronto LAN stats are absurd, by the way.
Yeah.
He's just been farming. But yeah, sorry. Go on.
That change where Curry came in and Zeta left it caused big issues, I think, because the large reason Zeppa had, I think, a lot of success was that chemistry that he had within that system with Zeta. It's a huge portion. Like, I think the initiator is such an important role to fulfill, especially when you have like a player who's really good at it, because you really are just like you're the middle piece between execs and your team dynamic going wrong. You're providing mid-round information. You're providing the fucking key pieces of utility for your team to get into sites. You are such an important cog in the machine of your team. And so when you make a big change like that, it does affect some players more than others, and it affects the whole system. So I think with some better additions, like there's a lot of good initiator players that are available right now.
Okay, who? If we're going to transition this to
Crashies, Leo,
Cloud9 super
BCJ.
team.
We have so many good initiator players right now that you could get for. And the important thing to note as well, if we're thinking about the import rules, you have one slot that you could bring in from any other region as well. They haven't used that up yet. They still have that opportunity to import talent so that you have your full pick of the entire talent pool to actually build a really good roster with a top initiator player.
They have Trent technically as well.
Trent as well. Yeah, there are so many good initiator players right now that they have plenty of options, and I think it could be enough to turn this roster into a fantastic team, because there is tons of initiator talent out there that is on the same level, if not better, than Zeta.
What do you do with this roster if Chamber drops out of meta? That's what I'm thinking about, because at that point, Ye goes into entry, right? Leaf drops, because normally if Chamber's in the meta, Ye is going to be playing Chamber full time. We've seen that with Optic. He's incredible at it, best player in the world, etc., etc. Leaf would then be entry, Zeppa as like your flex player. You need an initiator, you have a smokes player, bada bing, bada boom, you've got a roster. Once you drop Chamber out of the meta, Leaf becomes the like flex player, probably dropping back to play, some Sky or some Viper or Sage or whatever he played in the past. You have Ye playing entry, and then Zeppa's position on the team becomes a little strange because he's never played Sentinel before. And you're probably going to need someone to play like the harder Sentinel roles, this kind of stuff that Sugetsu plays, or Nat's played in the past. Or
that role kind of died off recently.
No, it's coming back.
It's coming back,
Cypher.
But it's almost like we went for a mass extinction event with Chamber being introduced, and now there's like the rodent has survived, and now only the rodent will evolve into humankind.
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. But then who do you pick? I mean, you can have that person as your sixth player, as like a caveat, but
I mean, also
it
could be an inverse where Leaf shown a willingness to be extremely flexible. What if Zeppa were to stay on that flex position and Leaf were to play more of a Sentinel role?
Right, and Leaf has played the Viper in the past, so Leaf would pick up like Sage,
And Leaf has
Cypher.
said that he's willing to like
Killjoy.
flex to anything to make
Yeah.
the team work. He's
He
said
could be
that,
like the
so.
Althea of NA.
I would trust him. I mean, Leaf has been excellent even on those more supportive roles in the past, but I think that's where
place
you
where he's
have those
shined,
extra
though, has
spots
been
in the
entry.
roster. What's right?
I said the place where he's really, really shined though has been when he was playing full time like Jet type of stuff. So I'd be a little concerned about it, but yeah, I fully agree. I mean, one of Leaf or Zeppa with Ye coming to the team is probably going to need to pick up a different role, whether that be initiator, sentinel, controller, because Vanity's played initiator as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in this team that I don't think it will be a problem, and they'll be able to fill in that space with whatever, whoever's available.
If they did pick up, let's say they picked up
Nats.
what's right?
Nats.
No, not Nats.
I was
Fucking hell.
thinking that though. Seriously.
Okay, all right. I'll humor you then. They pick up Nats and they pick
Yes.
up BCJ, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's their team, right? You're imagining that as their 6-man active roster. Because I'm adding a sentinel in, I'm adding an
6-man,
initiator
sorry, yes.
in. Yeah. 6-man active roster. Is that team a super team? First of all, like, do you think that team is stacked enough to be classed against the competition as a super team? And where would you expect them to kind of be placing in terms of like, roughly
That's a
upper,
top
middle,
finish.
lower? Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's a top finish in the Americas League. Because you've one of the big issues with Cloud9, I remember with Leaf's flexibility was that it removed the extra oomph that you'd have. I remember when Leaf was playing Viper, he was doing the most, but it wasn't enough for them because you had you're essentially putting your best player on the roster on a role where his impact is pretty limited to his agent and what he can do. Especially, I'm thinking like instances where he was playing the Viper on bind compared to the Sky, where he was forced to just kind of relegated to watching flanks and things. You're really limiting him. But now you have Ye on the roster. Ye is going to be doing a ton of the heavy lifting for them, no matter what role you put this guy on. And it does allow Leaf to become that player that can just kind of, the pressure's off his shoulders, but you're still going to get fucking amazing results from him. You're not going to be downgrading his performance. I think you automatically, by putting Ye on the roster and taking away the pressure from the rest of the players to actually step up like that, especially Leaf, this roster does go up into that boom, tippity top kind of territory. And if you had a player like Nats on the team,
I mean, yeah, it does push it potentially over the edge. I mean, Nats might even be the 6th player in that situation, which would be very strange. But what do you think?
Yeah, any team that has Nats as the 6th player, or could be the 6th player, is a super team.
Okay,
yeah,
that's just the definition according
I
to
think
the
the
Gambit
4 player,
simp.
the 4, yeah, 100%. The 4 players that they have right now, you could already start to say it's granted the results from the 3 core members wasn't great last year. I think adding Ye is enough to almost call any team a super team, but specifically Cloud9 and these guys. I mean, these guys were at the top of the tier list, Zeppa and Leaf, at the beginning of the year. Sure, maybe results changes that a little bit, but I don't think that they're that drastically far away.
Okay. Do you think is it sad if Ye goes to Cloud9 and the rest of the Optic roster breaks up? What's your perfect reality? Because for me, I'd be very disappointed. I feel like the Optic roster staying together, at least the core of it staying together.
I mean, that's best case scenario.
Yeah,
that is. Who's saying that's not?
No, I mean
you get to carry forward the storylines from last year. You get that legacy, and the team we already know is good. You're not gambling. That's the thing that we need to understand as well coming into this new season is when teams are rebuilding these rosters, it's no guarantee that they're going to be good. There might be little issues, little things that just causing one issue after another, and it snowballs out of control. I've seen it so many times when teams are rebuilt around and the expectations are so high around them, and the idea, the word super team gets thrown around. There can be a lot of issues that arise even before that. You can look at the talent on paper and say they're really good, but there's no guarantee that they will be the best. You have expectations that they will be, but it feels like more often than not they end up failing for one reason or another.
I mean, the rosters could shit the bed very easily, honestly. So there is, I think it's interesting I find it weird that they're calling C9 a super team, supposedly, when it's just the C9 core with Ye so far.
Well, they've said it was just a headline. I think.
Yeah, it was just a
headline.
But
yeah. I want them to call it Colossus 2. I want them to call it Colossus 2, then I'll be on board with the super team idea. But I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, obviously everyone wants to see Optic stay together, but it's just probably not going to happen. It's literally just not going to happen. There's too many players that are too crucial that everyone wants, like Ye, like FNS, like Marv. Like there's just way too many players that everyone's going to want to get. If I know possible that you can put them all together. So I think that whatever their 5th player ends up being /6th is really going to make or break that team, because right now it's like they're looking good, but I put them as like an automatic like best team without seeing the rest of the rosters. Like I don't know. Like having Ye is pretty big though, and Vanity, who I think is like one of the best, obviously one of the best IGLs in North America.
Let's talk 100 Thieves then.
Wait. We have breaking news.
Breaking news?
It's actually relevant to the Cloud9 roster as well. This was posted yesterday.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Cloud9. Bren is playing for Cloud9.
Yeah, the 5th man.
shit.
Yo, look at the quote tweet real quick.
Damn.
Look at the quote tweets on that one.
Look at the.
Yeah, I'm pulling his ear. Get me out. Listen, I don't want to be part of that team. Prius, I got no issues with. I play with Prius, you know. Tryndamere, listen, man's trying to get higher for next year. So listen, I'll play with you as well. But George strikes me as, you know, listen.
He's Ascendant. He's Ascendant rank.
I think there would be too many clashes on this on that roster currently. I think there'd be too many clashes. So I'm requesting.
Well, you can't have a GOAT team without some egos. Think of Michael Jordan in the NBA. You can't have some GOAT teams without some egos. You know.
Just get me out. I need a different team environment.
They also have 2 imports, so they're gonna have to drop one of you or George.
No, I'm a resident.
Oh, you're a permanent resident, are you?
Yeah.
Right.
He did play 50% of his matches with Egg Enthusiast last season.
I did.
So.
That's true. That's true. Okay, fair enough. That was great breaking news. Let's talk about one of the other bigger roster moves that was reported this week, which is 100 Thieves are close to finalizing a deal with Cryo, whose nasty player, XSET, obviously didn't make it in, and XSET were originally going to get picked up, apparently, by G2 wholesale, or at least that was something that was in the works, and instead now it looks like the roster's getting picked to pieces. This would be pretty huge, I think. I mean, Cryo has proven himself now at multiple lands of being a top player globally, not just within North America.
Yeah, I think this would be one great fit for Cryo, because you're putting him into a system that is most like XSET in my mind as well, where XSET was very much the kind of like, you know, organizing the talent that you have and making sure that they're enabled and you push them in good directions, because there's a bunch of young players. And I think of 100 Thieves being a very similar system to that, with the coaching staff and the way that they treat it. And Cryo, there's honestly, with Will asserting himself as a Lanimal at the most recent event, he did go up a couple of places in my mind in terms of like his stock and his value as a player. I think that he's a bit flaky when it came to like online in terms of the performances you get out of him. So there's no doubt in my mind like Cryo is an upgrade over him, but I still think, you know, I don't know. A little bit sad if Will ends up, you know, not finding a spot on this team, but I imagine that will be the case if Cryo's ended up finalizing. But it's,
because what else will play?
There's no world in which
this
this isn't an upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, they also haven't said that it's to replace Will.
Right, but
sure.
does
yeah,
Will...
I'm just thinking, like, what else will play in this roster for them necessarily?
That's what I mean. Like, what? He wants to be
right.
a backup, like the sixth man? I don't think any player will want to be...
But at the moment, the way that 100 Thieves is built is that Will has to do the entry role and the chamber role at the same time for them. And so they end up not playing very much chamber because Stella is like their hard sentinel player as the IGL. So they might be trying to play both of them at the same time and have Will up front, Cryo as the chamber, and then move Stella over to a different role. I don't know. Or have, you know,
there's a lot of things you could do.
The option. I guess it becomes really weird actually having, because you can't rotate Stella out if he's IGLing unless he's moving somewhere else with the team and they're going in a different direction for that. Don't know. What do you think about XSET overall being picked to pieces? Because that's a different situation compared to Optic in my head. Because Optic, every single player on Optic is going to want to be picked up by other squads. Like it seems impossible, I agree with you, Connor, to keep Optic together because everybody is bidding for all of those players as free agents now. Whereas for XSET, I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, this is a sad outcome, honestly, because XSET, out of all the teams as well, I mean, we spoke about it a little bit when we were talking about the announced teams, but I felt like XSET would have had a pretty good shot of making it into the partnership system, just off the basis that it seems like they care about the scene quite a bit. Clearly, they're investing in a pretty smart way. They're developing their talent really well. It had all the signs and all the makings, with the exception of clout, which is clearly an important factor because you need viewership for the partnership league. But it seems that this org had all of the signs for it. And I'm personally biased because I just like the players as well. So I think it was quite sad that the whole roster is now just going to get picked apart. Just fucking incredible by Zekan. Try not to get demonetized.
Did you see his most recent one? His most recent one was like, if I hit like 1,000 subs, I drop out of high school. And his dad was like, "No, you won't." On the Twitter thread.
That's so good. Never mind.
It's a classic. It's a classic. I mean, I think the problem with XSET, though, it's still the same issue with a lot of teams that were at that peak of like they were really good and at champs and had good runs, is that like it's going to be tough for any Oregon challengers. Like, well, obviously we'll have to see, right? But I feel like it's going to be hard to keep them together because you're going to have some teams looking for like some of their star players, for example, like Cryo, right? Like you're going to be looking for some pieces that you're going to try to pick apart, and all players are going to want to prioritize being on a partner team over being a non-partner team to start with, right? So like if someone comes to you and was like, it's the same issue Overwatch League had when it went to 2018 for the first season. Like you had great rosters and people were like, oh, I'm going to build this team, but I only want this player. No player is going to turn that down more often than not because the salary is going to be better. The opportunities are going to be better. The visibility is better. The support's better. The prestige is better. It's just no one's going to turn that down. So if someone comes to a player on a team that's not partnered, they will take the offer. Like 100%.
I mean, Zekan is another superb free agent. I know that Cryo's been fantastic too, but when I'm thinking about people that you want to pick up in order to add, what's the word? Like, you want to add backup plans to your roster, flexibility to your roster, no matter what direction the meta goes into, this player's still going to succeed. Zekan's up towards the top of my list in terms of players in North America. He's been nasty on a bunch of different roles, super flexible as well. And what is this, all time? But he's played a lot recently too. He plays like a decent chunk of agents. This is just within the last 2 months. Yeah. He's played 5 different agents across, essentially, you could say 3 roles there if you're counting Flex and Initiator. But where do you think would be the best place for Zekan to end up if we're talking about him as a free agent? Because he's a hot commodity.
I think one of the teams that is going to be rebuilding like entirely, like potentially NRG. I don't know, maybe Sentinels, like those types of teams. Not 100 Thieves, probably not EG. I think EG, for some reason, I get the vibes that they want to stick with a lot of different people or a lot of people on their roster and rather just take pieces apart. I get that impression.
What?
I get that impression. What?
I just think that's a disastrous idea.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea for them.
Well, that's just the feeling I get. I don't know. It's just EG is that type of org. I think that they sold Riot on a lot of different things. Like let's build up NA. We have Potter as our coach, and we just prove that we can do all this thing. I have a feeling that's a main reason why they're in this partnership league in the first place. Is that type of culture.
I mean, they do have like 3 CS:GO rosters, so anything.
I think.
But go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say EG being in while we're on the topic of it. Is probably because of their prior involvement with Riot in their other ecosystems. No,
they have a really successful league team.
Yeah, they've already proven that they're a good org to work with.
The league team is specifically building up a bunch of talent, and that's one of the reasons why not only are they popular in a time where league, especially LCS, is like import, and whatever. They've built up a lot of local and NA talent, and it's just their values and whatnot is aligning with the team. Or
they
with
also have a lot of good structure behind them too. A lot of great structure behind. Like they have a lot of funding. They're very. I think they're not just like a shell corporation. It's like money's filtering through and players appear. It's more so like we have employees and people that are building various initiatives, like an actual company within this company. And I think they value their company culture too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the whole thing. I'm just thinking in terms of teams that are fully rebuilding. NRG and Sentinels are the teams that I would 100% expect. Right, 100 Thieves. I don't really expect them to go too far beyond Cryo or potential pickup one more upgrade. Um, who else? Right.
Yeah, I mean, the one that was coming to my head is Zekken an upgrade over Zeppa? If you're trying to invest and build a super team for Cloud9, could you make that move and try and make that happen? I mean, I really rated Zeppa extremely highly coming into this year, but I don't think it's. And I think your comments are really pretty apt about how the coordination on the team just got broken to pieces, but Zekken's just been so nasty.
Yeah.
I think almost any team it would be an upgrade for him. Maybe not.
I think
maybe not 100 Thieves, but yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think that would be pretty massive as well when you consider like Leaf is super flexible, Zekken's super flexible. Imagine having both of those players where it doesn't really matter what meta you fall into.
Right. Exactly.
You're kind of future proofing your roster a little bit, but
maybe they think the same way about Zeppa. But from an outside perspective, I trust Zekken a lot more.
Well, that's kind of I think I do too. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about Cloud9 is Vanity wants specific people on his team. Zeppa and Leaf were two of those guys.
Yeah.
Right. I don't expect it to change. And actually, bringing it back to the EA topic real quick, that kind of scares me in terms of EA being on that team, because it's somewhat player focused. That's the read I get on the team.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about just feelings about teams, I get Cloud9 is somewhat player focused or player run by Vanity, and that part of it, I don't think you're replacing Zeppa for Zekken, even though I think it's an upgrade.
Okay, so let's talk about the other three players on XSET though.
Yeah.
Just briefly. So you've got BCJ, who I feel like initiators are kind of at a premium. I feel like he's just a lock to make it into the league somewhere around after having a really good champs performance. And then you've got Def, the IGL, and you've got Aaron, who did secondary IGLing for them, or primary for their defensive side as well. And Aaron tweeted out that he was looking to do full IGLing for teams heading into next year. Do you think all of the XSET roster is like a lock, hot commodities kind of status? Do you expect to see them all in tier 1? What's your read on that situation?
The saddest part about XSET not getting picked up in its entirety is that I don't think a lot of those players will. I think players like Def and Aaron will probably struggle to find their place in the partnership system. And I say that because, like, XSET, by my definition, in my head, I think of them as more than the sum of their parts. Just that kind of team. You saw the best out of them when they could develop as talent together. And that's not something, when teams are looking to rebuild these rosters, they're looking to pick apart and poach. And you're not looking at players like Aaron, even though I think players like Aaron and Def add a tremendous amount of value to rosters just on the veteran presence they were. Like it's underrated, and I think I spoke about this before, but you'd look at the like in between rounds, you listen to the replays of team like XSET, and the player who is like, fucking keeping the energy high up is often Aaron. Yeah. For the younger players on the LAN on a big stage environment. And a big part of it as well, I know that they've spoken about it in the past as well, but he said that the things that you don't really see in the server is how much, development that they've done as well, and how much they've been part of that team environment in making sure players like Zek and Cryo are actually, the players that they are today. Yeah. To the point where they're getting picked up. So obviously they're trying to sell their own stocks. Ahead of time. But I think there's validity to the statements as well, and that is a big downside to what we're not going to see with the XSET roster, because they're going to get picked to pieces, and the losers in that are going to be players like Aaron and Def, who
have more of the intangibles rather than the like dominant performances in the server or whatever.
I mean,
it feels like those kind of players would fit with some like EG kind of ethos. If your read on EG was correct, Valorant, and they were just going for like building up lower level players, those are the kind of people that you could see helping that system flourish.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. But that's it. That EG, maybe those are the types of players that they can go for. BCJ, you might add into that as well. But other than that, unfortunately I don't see them get a spot outside of rebuilding with an IGL, which I think is still quite valuable. Even though I put potentially Valen or even Xander potentially above them.
One of the things we haven't been talking about have been actually the coaches as well. I think is a pretty huge part of things. When I think about your building for next year, you want a clear idea of how you're building a roster and you want clear plans. Coaches that have proven their worth are going to be super valuable. And I don't know if orgs are actually going to be considering that as much because they might already have coaches and systems that they want to use. But I mean, Don theoretically is going to be a free agent as well. I mean, the guy is pretty tested at this point. And I think he's shown that he can develop talent and actually, work teams as well. So.
And he was just doing it all on his own. Actually.
And on his own as well.
He was doing like the GM, head coach, and analyst position, I think.
Oh, no, he had an analyst as well.
Drew Spark.
Yeah.
Who was an analyst for them as well. But that is a valuable part of any roster. Any team that's considering these upgrades for this season, I think actually kind of underrated as well, is how are you going to be building that top-down structure?
Well, I think MCE from the Guard is another person that should be absolutely
I think
there
MCE
like
said that he's considering staying, or he's staying with the Guard for now, I think.
Okay.
No, he's fielding offers though. 100%.
Oh, he is fielding offers.
He's fielding offers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also you could Aang, right? You could import coaches, like example. So,
but my point is
that angle as well.
It's very important, and people don't think about it. People forget about it all the time. But coaches are one of the most important aspects of this game. Is how you're developing your talent and having that outside in perspective. Because from what I've seen, I mean, it might take a bit more time with this game compared to others. But I think when you have player around rosters and those ideas, sometimes those players, when they miss the mark like that, you need an outside coaching perspective to guide you along the right path. If you fall astray during a certain meta or whatnot, just
think about it too. Though there was like 3 weeks for these teams to build their rosters before October 15th, right? Which means if you tried to do a top-down approach, as soon as you know that you're in franchising, you had to immediately go to another GM or a coach to try and get them involved to execute their vision, which I feel like almost nobody must have done. Almost no one's done that. No. Surely they must have used the staff that they already had on board in order to build out their vision. And then if they bring other coaches in later on, it's like, hi, we built you a vision. It's like, oh, what the fuck have you done? So I feel like this first year is not going to be top-down rosters.
There's going to be this gold rush at the beginning. You're right. The first year might not be top-down, but there's opportunities, I think, to kind of slow burn over the course of the year. Because you have the mid-season to pick players up. You have, even after October 15th, as long as you have a roster fielded that can actually play, you can still continue to pick players up. So there is opportunity.
You can pick up 6 players to start, and then you can add 4, cut 4, add 2.
No, seriously though, you could slowly tweak a roster over time.
Yeah, you can
to the point where
you can pick up all 6 and then drop them all before the season begins.
Listen, pull 100 Thieves from 2022, where you put all your emphasis onto like essentially your last shot of LCQ. I'm not saying that's what teams are going to do.
Play one nights weekly and then cut them. Yeah, perfect.
Dude, they should not do that. But what you can is tweak a roster over time and find out what works. And you do have that LCQ opportunity to actually make your last stand in the partnerships.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about one of the other big pieces of news, though, which was the NAVI FPX situation. So I think this was George Getz again, reporting that FPX, not in their entirety, though, it's apart from Artists. So Artists are currently looking for different offers, but the rest of FPX are set to join NAVI. There was also like a leaked image during one of the NAVI videos where you could see a jersey and it said Angel on it. And so people were going crazy about that. But this seems to me to be the perfect place for FPX to land. I'm sure, Bala, you would have preferred it if the mech guys had ended up signing with Navi or something, perhaps, for like an even more CIS approach. But FPX are a very CIS team for the CIS slot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think this makes sense. I mean, mech is splitting up. They didn't even make it to any of the international league. Like, it makes sense. I'm not jealous. I'm not sad. Don't worry. FPX deserve to go to a team, and it's good that it's Navi as well.
Yeah, nothing really more to say. They're just a good. It's something that they've had a lot of interest. They've been investing a lot. I mean, Navi has resources to spend, and they can support the FPX core, and they've been like a great team. So it makes sense across the board.
Well, it would be pretty cool. Player?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, who's going to be their star player if Artis is not like rumored to be set in stone for this roster?
I mean, Chronicle's a free agent. They've got
cNed.
I mean,
SSK7 is also.
Who were they trialing before as well? Who were mech trialing before? It was
JD and
JD.
Purpo. is the other guy.
But
as well.
I mean, JD was already under. Oh no, actually, yeah. So yeah, JD.
JD was under Navi. You're right.
Yeah.
There's also Safe, who is pretty sick and performed better at LAN. Than I was
Safe was a bit of
expecting
a
him to.
animal, actually.
Yeah. So there's some. I mean, there's there's Nookie. There's so many different free agents actually within EU. Yeah.
I will be glad though if this ends up coming to fruition and the core of the roster stay together. I will be mad happy actually, because you've got one of the most dominant teams of the open circuit era, and they are, you still get to see them continue. And there's a lot of personalities on that FPX squad. Actually, I mean, Artist was
Artist
most
was kind of the driving
personality, and if he's not on it, then it's going to be gone. But definitely Angel.
Definitely is.
Yeah, definitely Angel. Yeah.
I think that this would be a massive win just in general. Out of like the 3 teams that you're thinking about, picking up Wholesale, Optic, XSET, and FPX in terms of good performers at internationals, FPX is the guys that have gone through the most shit prior to this. So to see them have the opportunity to continue as that roster would just be a continuation on a year that was interrupted.
Here's my prediction for FPX. Every team has to have 6 players in their active roster, plus maybe a few more as well. But you've got to have minimum 6. Most teams are not going to use that. Most teams are just going to have a sub player that sits on the bench for the majority of the season.
Oh wait.
Angel and
Holy
Doombros
shit.
are definitely going to just get lost in the sauce when it comes to that stuff. They're going to be subbing people in and out and up and down and all over the place. They're going to have different comps that rely on different players. They're going to be bringing them out. You're going to be like, oh yeah,
No.
on the desk, like,
This
oh,
is not going to work.
What do you
No,
mean
it's
it's not going to work?
It's not going to work. It's going to be
them
disastrous.
requiring a 6th player because of like backups, whatever, something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Is I think all well and good, but there's going to be a huge learning moment for so many teams, because in Valorant there is so much individuality that there's no player that wants to be on the bench. They don't think about the team as a team environment. They don't think of the team as my team to win it all. That's like an ideology that you need to like develop and instill from the top down, or from like a long period of things. Well, it just is not going to work initially with Valorant.
What, you mean it's not going to work having a perma bench player?
Well, honestly, you can, I think, make bigger rosters work. I've never seen it in Valorant, but I know it's possible.
Who was the
You
Japanese
barely see
team?
it in esports. It's like the subs in general. The sub issue is huge in general in esports, because the problem is like the coaching staff, the infrastructure, the physical toll of players just not there. Like,
I think
subs. It makes sense logistically, but I'm already saying if Doombros and Angel are going to start like doing like, we're going to create this player's comp, they're going to immediately learn, holy shit, this is really bad.
I mean,
because it just
FPX
happens with every team.
FPX won EMEA by playing with subs. They subbed out Angel for Batty G. They subbed out Artist for Batty G, and they won. But they won in EMEA,
dude, but
playing with a 6-man roster with Angel playing Jet.
I get flashbacks
They can do it.
to the beginning of the Overwatch League, when the Overwatch League did the same thing, where they required big rosters to have, for the same reason you have like subs. And
You could have 12 people on a roster.
Yeah, you could have
Josh,
12.
man. I'm with Josh. They played entire Copenhagen groups with Cider, bro. Like,
Yeah,
man.
okay.
do it.
But I've seen it mismanaged so many times, and it's a huge learning moment for a lot of teams, and
You don't even
especially
have
if you
to go
try and
back to
mega
the
mind it.
Overwatch. Like,
What's going to happen? They get relegated? Nah. Fucking try
But
it.
the point being is more so like, it's just it doesn't really make a lot of sense currently. Not that I don't think it can't work. It's just like I still don't think
If there was
staff
any
in
team,
esports is developed enough.
it'd
Sure,
be
FPX could do it.
If- yes.
FPX if there's any team. Yeah, sure, fair. I'll give you that.
I just think it's gonna be mad interesting to see teams that actually lean into it all the
I'm
way.
going to mold. I'm
it's
so
gonna be
excited,
so
but I
bad.
need to mold about this.
Dude, how? I just don't understand. A 6th player you got, the current, like, when I think of the mentality of the current Valorant player that wants to compete in the partnership system,
Yeah.
there's not many players that are going to be willing to be that 6th player.
doesn't matter. It has to be one. It has to be one. There has to be one.
Yeah.
They will. I mean, I think you're not quite understanding the desire
Power
to be
dynamic?
involved in tier 1. People don't want to be playing in the kids league.
But what
Is
if
how
it
it's going to be
means you
viewed.
don't
Dude,
get much playtime.
there were like 100,000 viewer tournaments played for tens of thousands of dollars that people are calling Mickey Mouse tournaments just because they're not VCT. Like, that should show you the perception of the Valorant player and the Valorant player base is tier 1 or bust. That is the way that people think about the game. If you're tier 1 on a bench, that's more clouted than...
That's also every esport. Literally every esport's the exact same way. It's tier 1 or bust. Like, there is no difference between Valorant and any other esports. No other esports is like, oh man, he's doing so good in tier 2. Literally, no one gives a shit.
I was farming cow main, bro. What are you talking about? I was
If you are a 6th player and you listen to this, make sure you join a partnership team that has the highest chance of like internal strife. Because I'm thinking now, if you're a 6th player, right, you're coming in and you're like, oh, you're not good enough to make it on the primary roster or something, but teams are looking to pick up bench players. Every other player wants to work their way up in ascendancy. Fucking pick a team that you think is going to implode internally, because that is your shot to get in a limelight. That's your shot to actually showcase what you got. I'm telling you now.
Who is
that fucking team? If Sentinels go to content creator route, it's them.
Okay. Become the 6th player on Sentinels. Yeah.
Well, that you're assuming their goal is the same though, because Sentinels, like, what if their goal is to make content, not to win?
Yeah, but that's good. I mean, you're on the content team. Your stream viewership on the bench is going to go.
I think Sentinels is a great team to be the. This is a great topic, honestly. Which team is the best to be the 6th man on?
Sentinels would be the
6th
best
player on. Sentinels would probably be up there because the content injection you'd get for your stream.
Yeah.
But then who else? What other teams would implode?
DRX tried to run a 6-man roster at some point, right? And they had Lakia play.
Well, that was like some
it was a disaster. It was a disaster.
That was just to appease the people to play Lakia.
Yeah. What about Liquid?
Liquid? Why would you? Oh, well, you're just anticipating the explosion.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Like, I never know what's going on with Liquid internally.
Yeah,
I really don't. I don't know what that. It's hard to tell because we don't know what.
Or alternatively, if you're a 6th player,
oh wait, they're not.
Try and find one of the teams that's signed someone that's a pure clout signing. So, for example, Mixwell's joining a Spanish team potentially. That's one of the topics that we have to talk about here.
I mean, that actually in general, I would say go into the Spanish teams in general, be like a Sentinels, right? So that would kind of fit into that, would it not? If you go to like one of the Spanish teams or Carmine Core, holy shit! Like the clout would be
go to
unreal.
Carmine Core, learn French, farm clout. Proceed. I mean, just pure profit coming out of that one. Yeah. So Mixwell posted a video where he said the future is uncertain but promising. And he's also previously tweeted that whatever team he joins, it's going to be his last team.
Right.
So I don't know whether that means he's planning to stay on the team forever or whether it means he's seen the future and Mixwell, the team's going to die.
He's so good at marketing.
Yeah.
He's just really good at marketing himself.
I mean, this also... I don't think this is him that's decided to, he's not sat there editing the video himself. He's got an agency or a team that's making or helping him put these together. They do a good job
of like maintaining that clout and that relevancy because I think there were many times where he was playing last year where he probably should have been replaced. But probably he didn't because of the fucking numbers he's getting. He's a clouted individual.
He's also pretty good. He's like
he
pretty
is,
good.
I remember there was big dips in his individual performance.
Yeah, there were.
And so there were I remember there was moments where it was like, well, at this point, is he really, deserving of the spot that he's got on the roster, or is he just being kept around because he is a giga clouted individual? But
also that Twitter line is bait because all players will be like, yeah, I'm like so many players like I'm done and then like I'm back. Like it just like you can't believe it. Like now with Mixwell, there's a real chance that he could because of streaming, but like
no, we have to believe it. We have to. It's the storyline. You have to for the narrative.
That's true.
All right.
He was going to retire this event. This is going to be the last one. Oh
yeah.
My
Didn't
God.
we have that about one of the Xerxia players? Wasn't it Cruz or something?
Yeah, we did. Well, it wasn't our fault. It was chat. We didn't.
Yeah, true. Chat decided to just announce it in an interview that he did.
Yeah.
Which remains one of the weirdest interviews ever.
Very. I mean,
Optic remaining undefeated on media days. Undefeated media.
Who's that journalist?
Who's that journalist?
Still one of the greatest moments of all time.
Who said that?
Where do you think Mixwell's going? I would assume it's one of the Spanish teams. If Mixwell's already been signed, Mixwell's one of those players where it's like he's not at the top of your list if you're looking at people that are the best free agents around, but he might be at the top of your list if you're thinking best and most clouted individuals around and has like all of the Spanish community at his fingertips.
And most Spanish. So, it's all coming together there. I mean, it's going to be a Spanish team. There's literally no way it's not going to be a Spanish team.
But there's three Spanish teams. There's Heretics, Giants, and Koi. The Carp team.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to get picked up
I
on
think
one
it's
of
gonna be
them.
Koi.
You're asking me which
I think
one
it's
he
gonna be
is?
Yeah,
Koi.
which one?
Oh,
I think it's
Koi.
Koi. Koi.
Isn't
I think it's Koi.
I thought I saw
Koi
something
is the
that
Omega
Pero
Cloud Spanish team.
Prometedor is literally Koi's tagline, the fucking thing that he ended the video on.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the
it's
Koi
Koi.
slogan.
Yeah.
Also, they're the most
Ah.
clouded of. I think they're the most clouded of the Spanish teams because they literally have like that. It's like Ibai. I think he's the caster that's like one of the founding members of it, and he gets like 1 million viewers on Twitch.
Yeah, his,
Yeah.
his Twitch
Yeah.
viewership is through the roof. I mean, that
He
is,
literally has 1 million viewers or some shit.
dude. If you're a North American player and you went to school and you learned basic Spanish, I mean, for God's sake, try to get the 6th player on Koi. Try and just be their import player because you're going to farm unbelievable giga clout
just
compared
do
to
it
being
and
on the bench of
learn
EG or
Spanish.
NRG or something, huh?
Yeah, we'll just do it and learn Spanish.
Yeah, get out your little phrase book
Yeah.
and just start learning.
Yeah.
Sit on the bench, stream with a phrase book.
Yep.
People will go nuts for that. People will go bonkers. Vitality, one of the French teams, has also had some rumblings recently about them looking to sign cNed and a coach Salah as well. So they've both been linked to Team Vitality, who have previously had rosters and stuff within, but not at a good enough level to keep the majority of their players. So I would assume that they're kind of starting fresh. But yes, Salah was one of the coaches that the FPX guys were, I think, working with or.
He also was with London, right?
Yeah, but I think for
so
Champions,
like, I mean, that's pretty fresh.
but after Champions, it was either Doombros or Angel tweeted out saying, "You guys need to be looking at Neil Zenio and Salah. They're two of the best coaches around for EMEA." And looks like Salah's one of the people that are up towards the top of the list for that. cNed though as well has got to be a major free agent.
Yeah, but this is the rumored beginning of Vitality, right? Are they rebuilding?
I would assume so. I don't know for sure.
They released 2 of their players. Well, I don't know if they released it or if whatever. It was Hyber and somebody else, and they still have Sender and Bone Cold. So Bone Cold cNed makes sense. I don't know how the rest of it's gonna go.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Sender's pretty good as well. I've enjoyed watching Sender for a while, but yeah, Bone Cold would presumably be doing the IGL for the team, which is
And
where
even
cNed found his most success.
Even if they didn't rebuild as well, just for context, they were second in the VRL league, and some of the the 2 VRL teams that made it through last time were decent in VCG Challengers.
They're all right.
So-
Yeah.
Decent. I didn't say good. I just said decent. So like, if you can, if you add cNed and whatever, a couple other pieces, then you might be able to be competitive. That's how I feel.
I look
Yeah.
at this and it reminds me of like early 2021 when we were watching, and then there was the EMEA tournaments that just weren't streamed. We had to like we had to like
Look through the
derive from the
bracket.
fucking stats.
Isn't it kind of crazy though that cNed would be going to a franchise team but not one of the Turkish teams? Isn't that kind of bonkers?
That's true.
That's like Mixwell joins Carmen Corps.
I mean, you want to talk about the Omega Cloud move though? That's pretty big because you already have the clout with one region, and then you just go to the next most clouded region.
Oh
France.
God, you're so smart.
Yeah.
All of the French players should be going to the Spanish teams, and all the Spanish players should be going to the French teams.
Just do a nation swap, and then that way you receive both clouded regions fans, and you will.
You are
be
such a
invincible.
marketing genius, Connor. You're such a genius.
Classic.
Who do you think the Turkish fans cheer for if Fnatic plays against Vitality and then they both play against BBL and bloody Footballist? I mean, the Turkish fans are just going to have everyone to cheer
Yeah,
for.
I don't know. It's just a perpetual white noise machine of just a buzzing in the arena. Just it never stops. Just constant noise.
Yeah. Well, it stops at 5th place, but yeah.
Good one.
God. Let's talk about some of the IGLs that are on the market, actually. I wanted to discuss some top IGLs that are going to be heading into Partnerships League. So who are the big... Because to me, if you're building a team, you almost need to start with the IGL. I feel like a lot of these teams are starting with the top goated player, the clout monster or the star, but you kind of need to start from the IGL and work outwards.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Vitality's got a good idea there, starting with Bone Cold and working outwards, but Bone Cold would not be at the top of my list if I was thinking like, elite tier IGLs, although it has had a lot of success in the past. Who would you guys be building teams around if you're thinking top free agent IGLs? Barley, you look like you want to begin.
Finesse. That's the first
Yep.
name to throw out there.
Yeah,
100%
obviously.
finesse. Like I'd
Yeah.
import him all over the fucking world. Like that dude 100% is at the top of everybody's list in my mind. If you're rebuilding a team, I think you can work with almost any type of personality, even the abrasive types, like potentially, you know, like an artist or a Nookie or something like that. I think
Yeah.
finesse would work well with those two players. And just in general, is able to build up players too. I think finesse is the top of everybody's list.
Why do you get the impression that he would be really good with the abrasive players? Because I immediately agreed with you based on his personality, but now that I think about it more, the rest of the players on Optic are actually really like calm players. Marvd is the fucking chillest of dudes. Apparently barely comms while he's playing at times. And then you've got Crashies Victor, who are both very like understated, and Ye, who's just bubbly happy. So it's not like he's actually had to deal with abrasive personalities.
True. I mean, he has in the past, but not even that there are that many abrasive personalities in the scene. I'm just saying my impression is that he could work with anybody, and he is relatively abrasive himself when you look at the, you know, his on stage personality and just the takes he and claims he makes about other players as well. I just think that he would be.
That you'd vibe.
Mhm.
Who are some others? To me,
Salah.
Angel for sure.
Sadhak.
wait, Sardak.
Sadhak. Yeah, he's the IGL for Loud.
Yeah, for Loud. But I would assume he stayed with Loud. I was thinking about people who are like,
you're talking about free agents.
Yeah, sorry. This does say
the
top
question
5
is
IGLs,
yeah.
but I do kind of mean like top 5 IGLs that are like on the open
build.
market is what I'm thinking. Yeah, sorry. For like building teams around. Because yes, Sadak's correct.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like a top
sure.
IGL. Xander? Yeah.
I think Xander would be a good shot.
I kind of have. I feel like Poised is a little underrated.
Mm.
I'm kind of a Poised fan from FaZe.
Yeah.
So
I would have Valen, I think, above both of those players,
both
though.
of those.
Yeah.
For sure.
To me, Valen is up there.
Redgar, hello,
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
Redgar.
Come on now.
Redgar, yeah, sure. Fair enough.
Redgar, though, if you're not building a full Russian-speaking team, I'd want
He
to
speaks
at least.
very passable English.
Yeah, I know he does, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would be fine. I would just have a slight concern there with him being able to communicate ideas extremely effectively.
Do we have our top 5?
What? That's the top 5 already, is it?
I feel like we've just listed 5 players. Yeah,
Who are the 5? FNS,
FNS,
Valen, Redgar.
Redgar.
Wow.
No, we need...
I mean, Angel's technically a free agent, but we'll assume he goes to NAVI. Let's assume for the sake of this.
Angel from
Yeah, we'll remove Angel from this because
Xander.
Xander.
I'm adding Xander to it. I know that sounds odd, but I thought that out of all the teams, like when he was playing on V1, the team had really good ideas of how to play the game just on a IGL basis. Like they made good decisions in game. They had talented players, but I felt like the team had tons of promise from that perspective of Xander calling.
I really agree with that, but then also version 1 let him go, and I was confused about that as well. But yeah, I would also have him up there as like a really talented person. What do you think about
Steel?
Steel? Yeah.
No love for Steel, huh?
Steel's already on T1. Steel's going to be on T1.
He's their import player.
He announced that he's...
No, he's their import player. He's going to Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Good deflection. Nice. I was looking at the EMEA free agency list, and I was thinking, holy fuck, there is a huge gap in EMEA in terms of good IGLs. Like,
isn't Nuki technically an IGL?
That would be such a travesty, though, man.
Yeah, to build a team with him IGLing, I don't think that makes any sense.
You'd get way more out of Nuki if he was petted with a really good IGL, I think. What do you think about Def and Aaron's stocks as IGLs if you separate them? Because that to me is such a weird question, because one was doing attack-sided, one was doing defense-sided IGLing. And if they're both then doing both sides, I just really don't know what to think about it.
Well, I mean, if one of them prefers to, have a teammate that'll do the other side, then it should be okay. For example, Def, I would assume would want that, and I think teams can easily build around that where he's like the main guy. But I think, like Brent said, they as well were some of all parts make them better. It's the team buying into their systems more than necessarily them being super, super, super good IGLs.
Do you think Boostio stays with EG? Because to me, Boostio, like, incredible fragger, and was picking up the IGL duties for a team that performed better than any of us expected. Is he just a lock to stay with EG? Like, wouldn't go onto the open market to be in this discussion?
I think so, but that's because of my read on EG.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you could
really only like Redgar from EU is kind of
that's what I mean.
crazy,
IGL is a crazy hot commodity.
I mean, there's Coldamenta.
Zeke, maybe. Oh, Coldamenta, I did forget about.
Yeah.
Coldamenta's going to be a free agent at this point. And then, there's like this weird thing that was happening on Ascend where it's like, I guess Zeke was calling for a while after Bone called, and then they got rid of Zeke, and I don't even know who picked up the IGLing at that point.
There's also Pipson. He could be a good IGL.
Yeah, David Denis and Pipson have got to be up there. NBS from the original First Masters IGL'd his team to a trophy. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. All right, let's go into this. This is the big meat and potatoes of this
the meat
episode.
and potatoes of the episode.
Yeah.
All right. I'm listening.
Dream rosters.
Ooh.
Before we started the episode, we asked each of the people here to pick a region. Connor picked 3. Connor picked all 3.
Okay. Yes, the instructions were insanely unclear, and the best part is,
No
one else had a problem, Vast, and you sent them to me at noon. So
okay, well, first
that
of
was
all,
when the
I was
episode
on a
was supposed to start.
Here's what you told me. You said, oh wait, I misread the second line.
Okay, so let me explain the concept. Each of us was supposed to pick a region. You can pick any region you like, but you have to build the best team that you can. A super team for that region. And for me personally, I went for people who are free agents, but that wasn't part of the restriction. You could pick up any core you like. You could pick a team that was already, in a position. So it was pick a team, pick a coach, and pick 5 starting players. So not the 6 active roster, but the 5 starting players. Where do we want to begin with this one? I want to see. I want to see what Connor came up with. I want to see what Connor ended with.
Did we all agree? Did we all understand the stipulation that the roster must be something that is possible?
I think so. I think that does make sense.
Like
So,
you
for
couldn't
example,
take like Vanity for whatever reason to another team.
What? Sorry.
Or
well,
like Vanity is signed to Cloud9. He's not a free agent. He's not getting.
But it is our
bought out.
dream roster, though.
But I feel like that you can stretch the limits of possible, because it is possible that Vanity could go somewhere else. I mean, he could get traded
Also,
to
the dream
another
roster
team.
could
Yes, so,
exist
but-
on C9, right? C9 could be your dream roster.
Yes, C9 could be your dream roster.
The
That's how I
only
was
stipulation that I stuck with was like allowing myself 1 import.
Okay, yeah, you were allowed
Yes,
one.
That's pretty much it. That's
Okay,
pretty
that's
much
fine.
all I did too.
That's
But
enough.
also, when I did mine for the Americas region, and like APAC and EMEA and such, I was like, okay, like for example, would a Brazilian player count as an import in the Americas region? And then Kurt was like, no, because Americas is one region. It's the Americas region.
Yeah.
So
That's correct.
So you really
So
struggled with
technically-
this school task, huh?
So technically, I was like, "Oh man, I have a really big pool to pick from."
So
here.
where did you land?
So-
What did you end up telling Kurt to
Well,
put up on
I
screen?
chose his APAC one because none of you guys made APAC ones except for Connor,
Yeah.
who made all 3.
Okay.
Respect,
I did,
Connor.
yeah.
But APAC was the most
Also-
difficult region. I tried to make an APAC one as well. Let's have a look at yours. So this is Zeta Division with 3 of the DRX players on it, and a player from T1.
What?
Player.
Yeah, this no. So this is a so I
fine,
also
that's
misunderstood. Here's the thing I misunderstood. Kurt said what Kurt specifically asked me.
Connor, I
the
missed
prompt.
you.
No, here was the
I
prompt.
missed
Here
you
was the
so
prompt.
much.
Listen to me. Here was the prompt. It was says, if you were to make the best possible team, blah blah blah, and then it says also pick what org you think is best in that region.
Okay, all right. So this is a Vast's dream team, and the stress here
And
is
their
on
org.
dream.
Yeah.
But also the way that I understood it when Kurt said pick what org is the best in the region was just like what org I think currently is the best organization in the region, not who they're going to represent.
No.
Okay.
That was the question. Did you guys not
Yeah.
answer it?
No, I did it.
I thought
no.
You guys fucked it up.
Yeah,
You
like,
guys fucked it up.
like
I
your
got something
dream
very
org.
different.
All right. Well, listen. Let's just focus one at a time. So Zeta Division. Why did you pick Zeta Division then for your team?
So Zeta Division, The reason I picked Zeta Division as the best org is because they have an insane financial backing. It's very clear that they're targeting their region exceptionally well with their content build. Their marketing strategy is insane.
Bought a business
Like,
this.
no, like Zeta Division, like I love everything they're doing over there. They're building. They're building so well.
And Connor, this team with no Japanese players is going to be so marketable for Zeta Division.
They're not competing for Zeta Division. This was the best org in the region, is what Kurt asked. This is very different. Very different.
Okay. So then you're coaching your own team. So I like that. That's real faith in yourself.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put the coach. I
I like how the line goes to his.
Let's talk about your team. Why did you select these 5 players then? This is like your idea of an APAC super team?
Yeah, this is my idea of an APAC super team. Just because I think Mako is the best controller in APAC. Like I think he's just like nutso. I think for like a primary like entry player, there's a lot of great ones, but I think Buzz is just like honestly just like also probably the best in the region right now in terms. And then when you're thinking of like maybe a flex player, like now granted Jing is kind of a wild card, but I do think that he's like just got those Dumbo brain insane mechanics, and it's shown that he can pop off at the LAN environment. So I'm like I feel comfortable putting Jing on there, and then Zeta. I mean, it's Zeta. Like it's Zeta, I think he's like nuts when you're looking for one of those initiator type players, when you're looking for someone that's getting a lot of that mid round info and can coordinate really well. And then I think RB has consistently been. Now RB is a little bit a weird one because I didn't know what to do about the Sentinel role for APAC because
RB does play Killjoy.
He does. He plays Killjoy,
recently.
but like he's been doing it recently. So I kind of just put RB in there because I favored his flexibility and how much he's been able to flex to for teams. And
who's IGLing? Are you going to be IGLing for the coaching staff?
That'll be figured out by me. That'll be figured out by me, the coach. So that'll be figured out by myself.
I also built a Pacific team, and I found it really difficult. It is so tough because you can't. They don't have very many great Smokes players who are free agents. They don't have very many great Sentinel players who are free agents, and also they don't have. They have such large language barriers as well. Because the region is so diverse in terms of the amount of places that pull people together. So it's a weird situation. Kurt, did you have my APAC roster?
I think so. Let me see.
All right, there we go. Okay, this is my dream team. And this one, granted, is a bit weird because I've gone for an English-speaking Pacific roster here. So this I really have tried to make something that I think would be potentially feasible right now. So this would be Gen.G, an organization that has had roots in North America and roots in Korea, and I feel like has enough backing and infrastructure to be able to support an English-speaking Korean roster. This would essentially be. So I've got MCE as my coach. He's going to build this team from the ground up. So I've got Sire Player and Valen. Sire Player does not count as an import. He's a Korean citizen.
True.
So he just gets straight in there. Valen is my import player. Yep. Valen is going to IGL for this team from the Smokes position in English. And then I also messaged Achilles and said, do you know if Bazzi, Lakia, and Harry speak English? And he said, no, I don't think they do very well. But also, I couldn't find anyone who really did. Apparently, Bazzi's English might be decent, but I just have no idea. I was thinking about Lakia. I was thinking about Harry or King, but okay, let me start from the top. Sire Player, great entry player. I was thinking about Meteor as well, but fuck it. If I want an English-speaking roster, Sire Player is absolutely the player that I would go for over Meteor. But Meteor may be a bit more skilled if you were building a super team that spoke Korean. Bazzi as well is one of the players that has done a little bit of flex play, but strikes me as one of those players that I would actually want to try and build a great flex player out of. Because if you look at the free agents that are available in the Pacific region, especially ones that would be able to speak English or would be like on a team that was like Korean English kind of thing, there really aren't that many. There's like,
why have you made this so much harder for yourself?
Okay, you try and build one.
No, it's difficult. No,
you try and build a full Korean roster. Who the fuck IGLs? Who plays Smokes? It's impossible.
With free agents, it's the difficult part.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, it was even just hard to find out who the fuck was a free agent. And
ignore the language issues, the barriers.
The point of this is supposed to make a feasible team.
Yeah, but just ignore them for the sake of this.
But for the sake of the sake of it was to build something that actually could be real for next year.
That's the only part that makes this interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you could Okay.
Anyway, I went for Harry over King because I just thought, well, what the heck? Take another punt on the roster, why don't you? Harry, I don't think has played since like March or something. But he's just been a free agent the entire time, and Harry was really good. I really enjoyed watching this guy play. He played the hard sentinel role. If you have to play Chamber, I would get Saya to play it, and Harry would move. But yeah, this is my roster.
So menacing. Such a menacing player photo.
Yeah, it is. It is. He's a tough motherfucker. If you come at us in the server, he's going to beat you up in the car park afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
What do you think?
Nice roster.
I think this is an interesting roster. I think it's interesting.
Mm.
Would it win?
That's what I would say. As well.
I don't know.
Very interesting.
You don't think that's beating DRX?
I mean, I actually think it could be pretty competitive, but I'm not sure.
I'm sorry to say, DRX plus Zeta and Jing will beat this team into the earth. I'm sorry to let you know.
But you picked just a straight up super team.
But the thing is, you said build your dream team. That doesn't make the only stipulations where you can only have one import. No one said free agents or not.
Let's consider then the cost of putting your team together versus my team. We would have millions to invest in improving these guys. You would be bankrupt within a month.
They have millions. Zeta Division has millions. They can easily
You'd be bankrupt within the month. You're paying outrageous buyouts.
No, I would not. Nah,
you can't make any YouTube content with Korean players who don't speak Japanese.
But the point being, but also once again, this is nonsensical because I was not planning for this team to represent the organization that was picked. So it was just the best org in the region, in my opinion.
Okay, let's move on from the Pacific region. Bala, I want to talk your team, Bala's dream team. Let's have a look at this. Wait, why is Nookie is yay?
We fucked up the Photoshop.
No. This is a way to get past the import restriction.
we just call them Nookie. Wait, so this was Nookie or this was yay?
This is Nookie. Yeah,
it was Nookie.
Okay. This is Nookie. We've just messed up the Photoshop here. Okay. So Bala, walk me through the dream team. You've started with Liquid, but you only have Link on the team who no longer plays for Liquid.
Well, I just the only reason I went with Liquid is because it wasn't like regionally tied org. The only teams that are not that is basically Liquid and
he's so big.
Liquid and Fnatic.
Perfect.
And because Fnatic already has Durka and Boaster and presumably Alpha here as well. Although I don't think we've heard about Alpha yet. They're out of the question, and they're actually going to build around them. So I went with Liquid because I feel like they probably are going to rebuild. And so Nookie, dude, there's so many fucking good free agents. I picked EU because there's so many insanely good free agents. So Nookie as your primary entry / duelist, Chronicle Initiator. Finesse is your IGL / Sentinel Flex, whatever. Link as your controller player, and Safe as your opper.
I like this team a lot.
This
team would absolutely fucking
nice
pound.
team. I'm glad that you got Chronicle in there because I'm a big Chronicle fan, so I'm glad you got him in there.
Yeah,
I'm not as big on Link. I feel like there's better free agents for the smoke slot, isn't there? I'm trying to think about it though, in terms of who I would pick. Dude, does Leo want to go back to playing smokes? Leo, when he was known as Ziz, was pounding on smokes. I'll take him over Link.
What did you just say? Ziz?
Ziz. He was called Ziz. Yeah, Leo used to be known as Ziz, and he played smokes.
Oh.
And he was superb.
Ancient.
I thought it was like a Riz joke, like he beat the Riz allegations or something, but like it's a Ziz. Okay.
I mean, the only controller player who I would like put way up, potentially above Link, would be Avova. But I don't want Nookie and Avova on the same team. So.
What about Nats? Why wouldn't you have Nats play smokes for this team if you've already got Chronicle?
Because I still don't really consider Nats a controller player.
Also, why not like?
He's just way better
why not like
Redgar?
Role. Why Redgar over? Like he played smokes in the past, so.
Well, Redgar and Finesse clash.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be overlapping kind of IGLs.
Fair enough.
And
well, you just have
Redgar,
the smartest team of all time. Which wouldn't lose anything.
Yeah, we already have that team. It's called Brunzy Sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is a kind of nasty dream team. Do you see any reality in which this comes to pass?
No, I don't think Finesse is going to EU.
Yeah, I couldn't really see FNS moving region.
No, I don't either. That's the biggest thing. Outside of that, I think literally any of these players could be going to. I think it's very possible that they could go to Liquid. I do think probably if something like this were to happen, you'd see probably not Nookie and you just see Scream. Just keep Scream. Why not?
Yeah. All right, Bren.
I'm not gonna lie, my team fucking owns.
Okay.
My team owns. I'm telling you now. So I have chosen. I'm gonna start with the org here because Immortals Gaming Group.
Yeah.
Are fucking awful to work with. They're a horrible company, horrible org, and apparently they have ownership over MIBR.
Yep.
But what I was hearing was that they actually don't. They have ownership, but the running of MIBR is slightly different.
Yeah,
but
they don't run the day-to-day.
Are they? Is it not?
They don't run the day-to-day, is what I'm saying.
They don't run the day-to-day. So I don't really know who runs the day-to-day operations, but the primary reason I chose MIBR is because they are going to be probably building a new roster coming into it. So there's like, semi-clouted, going to be building a new roster. There's a possibility of that being the reality, I suppose.
And of course, Immortals Gaming Club are always known for having enormous budgets.
Yeah, spending money.
So they'll be able to afford,
I probably should have gone for like NRG, I guess, but I don't know. Or maybe just 100 Thieves in reality. I don't fucking know.
No, that's okay.
Whatever.
You made your bed with Immortals Gaming Club?
Yeah, I don't know why. But anyway.
They don't really factor in the conversation, to be fair. Like, it's like a segmented thing.
I mean, they
like,
set the budgets, presumably.
Yeah, but they still, MIBR is also like, other way.
Anyway,
let's move on from this. Let's move on.
For the coach, I went with Sean Garris with Mike's HD. As my coaching core for this team, because I think that they've showed that they have really good ideas. They have good ideas with talent development, and they've been doing this with relatively young players up until this point. So in my dream team, I would have these guys with Ye as the fucking superstar talent. Listen, there's all rumored to where he's going, but you'd have Ye as your fucking primary guy.
You heard it here first. Ye to MIBR.
Leaf comes in right as a flex player alongside him, okay? You're fucking pulling from... So for Smokes players, give me Pancada. Fuck the language barriers. We'll put in Pancada in there. Give me FNS as well for the Yay FNS duo and FNS is calling. And then for my import rule, I'm getting Sagetsu. Because I think Sagetsu right now, there is actually also a premium on those top players who are playing that kind of sentinel role really fucking well. Sagetsu is at the tippity top of that shit right now.
Dude, having you and Sagetsu so close to each other with that picture, it is just like you've put on a Groucho Marx fucking costume with the glasses and the mustache. And it's just,
so my little brother,
I'm adding myself to my roster.
I'm putting my little brother on the roster with fucking Yay, FNS, Pancada, Leaf. I think this roster would fucking gigapound. I think it would absolutely gigapound,
so
honestly.
Let me get this straight, though. Your dream team breaks up Optic, breaks up FBX, breaks up Loud, breaks up Cloud9. So of the...
And 100 Thieves.
You have 100 Thieves as well.
Yeah.
So you have to massacre 5 other teams. You've killed the entertainment across the league.
But
the rest are playing with peanuts. They're playing tiddlywinks while you fucking dominate the league.
But we're fucking winning. We're winning everything, man. We're winning.
Honestly, I mean, he said build the dream team. You said build the dream team. You didn't put the ethical or moral ramifications or financial.
Yeah.
You just said dream team.
If anything, I've weakened every other team so that my team has more success.
Yeah, I think you have. I think you absolutely have. Again, how much money would this cost to make?
So much. So much fucking money. Just unbelievable amounts.
Yeah, this would be absurd. I mean, Pancada's under contract with Loud, presumably still.
Yeah.
Leaf is with Cloud9. Sugetsu, I suppose, is going to be still with FPX and have some kind of buyout.
Not going to be cheap. Sean Garris and Mike's as well. You're buying out the coaching staff of 100 Thieves. There's no way. There's no way in hell.
Another partnered team too, so it's even fucking.
Yeah, you actually do need the deep pockets of Andy Miller in order to pull this off.
You need Amazon to be running this fucking team to have a chance. You need fucking Amazon to be running that team. But I think that team would pound.
Okay, I also built an EMEA team because, like Bala said, there are so many good free agents here.
Oh my god, your team is so fucking good, bro!
Dude, this team goes dumb hard. So this is Carmine Corps. This is the French squad of Carmine Corps. We have Lenuki, we have Chronicle, we have Leo, Regard, and Nat. And this is my dream team with Eng, the coach. And they're all French players. They all speak fluent French. They're going to be coming in French the entire time, and we're going to build YouTube videos around them learning how to com in French. Nookie, I was trying to pick between Nookie, between having like maybe Safe playing this kind of role, between cNed as well because he's a free agent out in the EMEA. Trex potentially you could have playing like an entry role. I think Trex is a phenomenal free agent on the market right now as well. But yeah, I've picked up I feel like the best core available on the open market is Chronicle Redgar Nats. It's just so nasty. And I think Redgar is easily the best IGL to build around. Like, hands down, no questions. Within EMEA, I suppose important FNS would be better, but yeah.
This team would
I've got
pound
Redgar
as well, man.
Yeah, that'd be a good team. And you get Carmine cores, you get the ultimate fucking Giga Clout. Like, I mean, it will be, it's nasty.
You think about this team as well, actually. It would be, have you seen the Fnatic rumors that Leo and Chronicle are trialing with Fnatic?
Yeah.
So that team would be Boaster, Leo Chronicle, Durka Alpha, which is an absurdly good team. It's somewhat similar to this, where you've got like Nookie instead of Alpha, and Nats instead of Durka. Redgar doing the IGLing.
That's my problem with the team though. Like Nats instead of Durka right there. There's no real upper on this team.
Okay,
that's the only downside.
What happens is Nookie Orbs. Nookie Ops. No problem.
Then who's playing your duelist? Chronicle's playing your duelist? I guess he was fine, but you saw those fucking satchels and Raze ults and
Raze isn't going to be in the meta forever. Also, the sixth player on this roster is Safe. There you go. Then I sub them in and out as required.
Okay. Aang is not the 6-man. He's not going to do a 6-man. Oh, actually, hold up. He did do it with Mac in the final game on Bree. Oh, fuck.
Every team has to do a 6-man.
Every team.
No, I know.
Well,
I'm just saying he's not gonna be a fucking your Angel Doom Bros theory.
Yeah.
He's gonna be against subbing people, and that's what
I'm not subbing them in from map to map. I'm subbing them in based on the meta. That's my subbing strategy.
Okay.
Is that you sit on the bench when it's not your meta. When it is your meta, we build the slightly tweaked roster. And we send it in. That's the future of Valorant subs. It's based on whether or not Chamber's busted.
It's based off one agent. That's entirely depends your team building structure forever. That makes sense. Kurt, in that case, we might as well show my EVA team so I can show them how off the goop I've gotten. We can show them what I've been doing out here.
Avast, once again, you sent them to me at noon. The show was going to start at noon. So I had like 0 minutes to build yours. So I only built one.
Also, to be fair, yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I explained why I sent it to you noon. I was in a meeting literally all day
it's
before
all good.
this.
It's all good.
Yeah,
I do appreciate the effort. I can read them out if you don't have that.
No, I'll read them. I'll read them. So for my EMEA team.
Wait, start with the team and then the coach and then the players.
Yep.
Okay, so my EMEA team would be Saigetsu, Boaster.
Start with the team! You don't follow instructions!
The org,
What? You
the
just said the
coach,
team.
then the players.
You said the team.
So if I said start with the team, then the coach, then the players, you start with the players and then the players again.
I gotcha. Okay, so here we go. So this is my alternate history dream team, by the way. Alternate history dream team. Let's pretend that a certain Spanish man was not at the helm of this organization. The organization's G2. Alternate history. Organization's G2. Okay. Now, the players, or we're doing coach next.
Coach.
Okay, coach would be Aang.
Okay.
Now the players would be Saigetsu, Boaster, Durka, Zipan, and Chronicle.
You just read those out so quickly, I can't even process it.
Saigetsu, Boaster,
Saigetsu,
Zipan,
Boaster, Durka,
Chronicle.
Zipan, Chronicle. Should I repeat again?
I'm a visual learner. I need to see the pretty graphic, otherwise I'm not gonna.
So your entry player would be Durka. Then you've got
Zipan as my flex.
Zipan flex.
Secondary. Yeah. I have
Who's your
Chronicle
initiator?
as
Chronicle.
And then I have Boaster, IGL, Smokes, and Saigetsu as that Sentinel.
Okay. That's a pretty good team, actually. I think it's a pretty good team.
The overarching takeaway from this is that you could build a fucking giga squad with the free agents in EMEA in particular. NA might be a little bit harder. Apex seems really difficult.
Did none of us do NA teams?
I did.
Oh, you did, of course.
I did.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Or just Americas, not NA.
Yeah.
Just the Americas.
Sorry. Yeah, Americas. I need to get that out of my vocabulary.
Do you want to hear my North America's team?
Start with the org.
Okay, we'll start with the organization. The organization is Sentinels. Okay? The organization is Sentinels. Now, I have decided, I have found these teams are two very good squads. So what if I just combine them? So I have, my coach is going to be Chet.
Okay.
And then my team is going to be the following: Yay, Les, Marved, Saucy, and Sada.
What?
Just the super team of combining Optic and Loud.
I have just literally put them together. And I've said now, and I put them on the cloudest organization possible, Sentinels.
The only problem with that team, the only problem is that you have Les who doesn't speak very good English. Sassy and Sadak both do. They actually could play on a mixed roster like that. But yeah, Les doesn't. Really.
That's fine. He'll learn. He'll learn.
Just throw him into the fire.
Yeah. That's the only problem with that roster. That's the only issue.
That's an interesting thought experiment. Our dream rosters.
Yeah, no, we all followed the book really well there.
Yep.
We followed the
We all
guidelines perfectly.
went different rules.
It's always easy to do with no restrictions, but if you're a GM right now with a couple of weeks to build your team,
I mean, budget is the biggest restriction.
budget
as well.
and it's I mean also just the
Competition.
being a fly on the
competition's
wall
gonna be
to
crazy.
when GMs are building rosters. Do you remember when we were fucking squatting in the Philly mansion?
Yeah.
And Rostam was just like building the Philly team.
He was
and
losing his mind.
It's non-stop. You are essentially on the phone for 24 hours a day, essentially. You just can't sleep because you'll miss out. There's like people are fucking backstabbing each other. People are taking deals, taking players from each other.
Yeah.
It's fucking
He's like, we had a
crazy.
4-way deal set up, and then someone dropped out, so now I'm missing half of my roster.
It was like it's the amount of crazy shit that was being set up.
But also,
with
he had
ROSTERMANIA.
to stay up because he had to be coordinating with people in North America and Korea at the same time.
Yeah,
because
which
he was
probably
building a
isn't
mixed
the
roster.
case in.
Yeah, that would happen for my roster. My GM would just be toast. I mean, MCE's brain would be frazzled by the time the league began. He wouldn't be able to do a thing.
We should do model ROSTERMANIA where each four of us is an actual GM trying to fucking.
Let's do that next week. I feel like
Wait,
each
what are we doing?
of us picks a team to GM, and you have to lay out your plan to the rest of the team, preferably with a PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint presentation. Hello, this is my pitch for the roster. You have to pitch us on getting enough budget to put the team together. And if we don't think the team's good enough, you don't get the budget.
Well, also
That's funny,
we each pick a team and we have to trade our players or sell them or whatever to each other.
Well, what determines our currency and budgets? The team that we're repping, or like how do we figure that out? What do we determine our budgets for this?
We just make up numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're the Bulpa businessman. You tell us the budgets.
I mean, the budgets would be very nonsense. I mean, the budgets are going to be crazy if you like in terms of like what actually work within the restrictions. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be kind of fucking wild. Also, I don't actually know every team's budget. So,
Okay. It's time for our most important segment, Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Hey, bro, pass the sticks. It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
The weekly award for this week is going to somebody that's never won the award before.
Wow. You've looked up the previous award winners.
Oh.
No,
No.
but I'm pretty confident. It's pretty out there. Somebody that's never won the award before. Wyatt normally takes these awards extremely seriously. He doesn't really do the Bren's Player of the Week where
Does he?
Well, he takes it somewhat seriously. He did sell out.
Didn't sell out for a single sub the other day.
No, you are right. He did do that. But we can't hold that against him forever.
Sure.
You know, people move on, people change, and I feel like Wyatt's definitely changed. The person I want to give this award to this week is the eponymous Wyatt himself, who held down the fucking fort of co-streaming while we were off gallivanting to champions with Kurt gone, us gone.
Yep.
He produced an episode himself as well while he was just sat at Kurt's PC. He wasn't involved in the hidden episode that now is permanently
Locked in the
deleted
vaults.
because Wyatt wasn't there.
Yep.
We fucked it.
We fucked it.
So this award is for Mr. River, who was faithfully streaming the awards at the co-streams at twitch.tv/Wyatt River. Thanks to Bala's intersection on his behalf, as Bala just rang the fucking bells to try and.
it's not. Oh, whoa! It's not only Bala.
No,
I also.
you were ringing the bells as well?
Strings.
I went directly to the brand managers.
Dude, you were pulling strings.
Whoa, what?
Holy.
Connor's got power
I'm
out
gonna
here
say
that I
we were
didn't
doing.
really
It
know.
was a pincer. It was a ball of ass pincer on
Let's
both
fucking
sides.
go.
The temporal
We'd be a
pincer
good
happened.
GM partnership, bro.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
politicking.
This award is for Wyatt this week for holding down the fort, for believing in Brazil.
Yep.
For
He really did. He really did.
And by the way, still available to be picked up as a general manager for all of the teams that are looking for actually good teams that are coming up. Because if there's anybody on the show that knows how to do that, it's actually the guy that did that.
Yep.
And built a plan for 100 Thieves that worked as well.
Yep.
And then got screwed out of it. So yeah, that's still very possible to pick up Wyatt for any kind of GMing role in the future. And that's it for our show. That's it for episode 107.
You want to play ranked?
Does it for
Anybody?
us. I did actually want to say, I wanted to discuss just before we finished, the hidden episode. People were coming to me all week and they were saying, can you release it as a members only episode?
Dude.
Can you put it up there?
How
Members
bad
only?
is it?
No.
How bad
It's
is
just
it?
bad.
I saw the discussion in the Discord, and I'm like, it can't be that bad.
It's not funny bad. It's bad bad.
Some parts of it were funny bad.
Some parts of it were
Yeah,
funny
some
bad. In
parts-
particular, the middle section where we took a break.
The funny part was the break where you didn't do anything. That's the funny part where you
Bro,
didn't
I'm
do
telling
anything.
you, listen, this needs to be locked away. I'm putting a limit on it. It cannot be released until 6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. Wow,
I'm
that's
putting
actually
6 month
fucking
limit
You're
on
making them
this
sign an
episode.
NDA. There's going to be an NDA coming up here.
Because part of it was I got drunk and also just started talking about things that were leaked and rumored to me and as facts because I had no filter on my brain.
I think
It was just a bad idea. We can't release this until 6 months time.
Was this the same day that we went on the boat?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
can't
I got
only
kidnapped.
imagine how that turned out.
Yeah.
But what? Here's my proposal. If I take that video and I chop out some of the best
Yes.
bits and I put it together as a members only video,
Okay.
and I make sure that
That's
there's none of that in.
acceptable. If there was no leaks, I think that's acceptable because there was a moment in the middle of that episode, we took a break because it was a food break where we ordered room service. I fucked up and ordered it to my room, went to go grab the food, pulled it into the elevator and just smashed 3 glass liter bottles of water in the elevator everywhere. In the middle portion at like fucking 1 in the morning. At 1 in the morning. And I get back and I'm like, guys, I fucked up. I'm like, on the phone to the front desk. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I messed up. I've smashed water everywhere. And they're like, oh, it's okay, sir. Don't worry.
Broken glass
Don't
in the
worry."
elevator.
Broken glass everywhere.
The doors couldn't close.
Yeah, the doors were just closing, the alarms going off, blaring like bah, 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 bah. Dude, it was fucking chaos. It was chaos. But yeah, if you cut out those funny moments, sure, release it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not in the video, technically. Technically, you didn't capture
No, it's
you
not in the video,
elevator,
but what is in the
so-
video of us saying, okay, we're going to take a short break, we're going to grab some food, and then us coming back being like, oh God, what have we done? just panic.
I heard some great stories. Seth told me the story of like the death ride back from the venue with one of the drivers.
Oh wow.
Seth
Yeah,
was telling me
that
that
was
story, and I was like, I couldn't believe that you guys had the gall to call that guy's boss while you were in the car with him, and he had complete control of your fate. I would have totally waited
we
until
didn't.
he had
We
made it back.
didn't call the guy's boss.
Well, you were texting
now
Riot.
I feel like
You
I
were
need to
texting
give
Riot, and
context
then-
for the
No,
viewers
no,
there as well.
I mean, we don't have to do the whole thing, but like, yeah, I heard some stories from, and I was like, man, that's pretty
I
funny.
mean, Doug and
Not
Bala
funny,
got
but
taken
funny.
hostage as well for cash.
On a boat. Yep.
All right, end the episode. End the episode.
All right, we'll come at you next time for episode 108. Bye.